Welcome to the Mr. E Crimecast, everybody. I am Mr. E, joined by Mrs. E, and our guest, Auntie. Welcome to the show, Auntie. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great. Doing great. It's been a little while since we've been able to do this. So we're excited to get caught up on everything that's been going on. If you are new to our channel, for the last month or so, we have been closely following the Sebastian Rogers disappearance case. Sebastian Rogers disappeared on February 26th, or was reported missing on February 26th by his mother at 6:20 in the morning. Authorities came to the home. A massive search went underway for over a week, and then they turned that into an investigation nearly at the 2-week mark. What appeared to be a possible runaway situation with a child that has autism, became something else. It seemed later. It looked like there might be some foul play, and that's really the ongoing debate that's happened ever since Sebastian disappeared back in February. We're now just over a little over 100 days of him being missing, and there have been a few clues that have been made public, some leaks here and there. So those are things that we've been covering. On many of our episodes, we've talked about various theories, paths Sebastian might have taken, and tried to rule these things out using reason and all of the tools that are out there, video, and just an ongoing discussion about what might have happened to Sebastian. And we appreciate everybody coming back with us here today. So we've got quite a few people already here. Wow, a lot of you guys are here. Some names I recognize also. Do you want to pull one up here? Sam's Pretty Paranormal. I do remember this name. So I think you've been here with us once before. Welcome back. Let's see. It says KT says YouTube unsubbed me.
What? That's not very nice, YouTube.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know.
I noticed that we had some people drop off, and I noticed it today. There was like 9 that had dropped off. So I don't know.
I don't know why that happened. I don't know. I didn't know that happened to people.
Please just resubscribe. We have no idea. I think that happens sometimes, but please resubscribe. Well, KT is one of our members. Thank you for coming back, KT. We appreciate you. I'm not sure why it would do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sam's also saying that it's always unsubbing hers.
Right. So it's just a common occurrence, I guess. I didn't know that.
And then Belinda was saying that she's going to be here till her battery's gone. They had a gully washer.
A gully washer.
That means a whole lot of rain.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very good. Yeah. We had a lot of rain last night too. So we had some of that. We didn't hear with Jill.
Hi, Jill.
And of course, Olivia, our one of our mods. Thank you for coming back here, Olivia, and helping us out. KT is clarifying means a storm. I grew up in the South. I haven't heard gully washer. I mean, I guess I could have kind of guessed that would be that's what that would mean.
Hi, KT. We're hoping you're doing well too.
Yeah, we're all doing good.
Mandy Moo says hello. Hi, guys. How was everybody's weekend and Father's Day? Oh, and Sue's here. Hi, Sue. Sue's another member. Thank you to all of our members for subscribing and coming back.
Yeah, so great to start to where we're getting to where we're starting to recognize people that are, I kind of remember personalities a little bit and all that too.
Whoops.
Thank you for the happy Father's Day.
From Charlene, thank you. And let's see. Oh, so Belinda clarified. It's heavy rain around 5:20, so no electricity yet. Oh, that's terrible. That happens to us sometimes where when we have a heavy rain, we lose electricity.
Yes.
And we have underground.
Yeah, underground, but you would think
wires.
That would be an issue.
You would think it wouldn't be an issue. KT had a good Father's Day. They had a big family supper, 4 generations. It was heaven.
Awesome. Very good.
Hi, Ginger Girl. Thanks for coming in. It's good to see you. Well, do you want to get started?
Yeah. Well, we can get right into what we've been talking about. I mean, we've been out.
I forgot to say hi, Olivia. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Livy. We do appreciate you very much. And yeah, so we have been we hadn't been on one of our streams here in maybe almost a week now. So we just had a lot going on. So we wanted to get back on as soon as we could. But of course, there are some things going on, and it's the news is really interesting right now. It's a lot of rumor, a lot of hard to know what to make of some of these stories that have been coming out. So one of the things we were talking about this afternoon when deciding kind of what direction we wanted to go with the show tonight was basically the title. Are we getting to the point where this case is about to go cold, or are we at the point where charges are imminent? And I can you can kind of make a pretty good argument, I think, either way for that. And so that's kind of what we wanted to talk about tonight. And then also just some of these different leaks, anonymous tips, and things that have been kind of spreading around out there and on the internet the last week or so.
Yeah.
And kind of go through those and see how legitimate we think some of this is or isn't. So let's start with the main topic of the question here. What is your feeling, Auntie? What's your opinion? Do you think that this case is about to go cold, like the Summers Wells kind of situation, or do you think that law enforcement is on their trail?
I think that law enforcement knows more than they have let on. However, I think they're planning on making it a cold case. I think they probably have some ideas on what happened, but I'm not so sure that they're on board with actually finding out what happened to Sebastian. I feel like it's headed toward a cold case, and I guess my thought is, how much have they been in relation with the family? We heard that there's a lot of law enforcement that are close to this family, but there's lots of law enforcement that live in the neighborhood. And nobody seems to have any information. And I feel like there would be some information out there in the community. There would be information that we would just kind of feel like something's getting ready to happen. And I don't feel like it's gotten to that point. I feel like we're at the point now where you've just got some people grasping at straws and sounds on videos and thinking, that things are just not the way they seem, but nothing's going anywhere. And I kind of feel like it's going to be a cold case. But I think law enforcement is aware of what's going on and possibly has some clues as to what happened.
Okay. What do you think, Mrs. E? Are you in that same?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think that the police are purposely sabotaging the case. No, I don't
think sabotaging. No, I just don't think that they're investigating fully to their abilities.
What you think?
I don't know. I just feel like that we would have heard more about interrogations, calling other witnesses in. And we've heard neighbors say that they don't even want to hear from them when they call and report something they feel is valid. So I think that's kind of what makes me feel that way. It's like they're not holding information that people right there next door even has to share. It's like it's falling on deaf ears.
That's it. Yeah, that's interesting.
What do I think it's going cold? Is that the question?
Yeah. What's your take on where this is going to go from here? Do you think that they are just being meticulous and putting the case together, and that we may be a month, 2 months away, or do you think that they're stumped and this is going to be a year, 2 year, 3 years kind of situation?
I think they know what happened. I think the police know what happened. I think many of us kind of have a general idea of what happened. I just don't think they have the evidence to prosecute. That's what I think. I think that they would love to prosecute, but can't because they don't have the physical evidence they need. However, to be fair, as far as we know, they have not done the forensics inside the house.
Doesn't appear so, no.
Yeah. So I think that they want to. I just don't think they have the evidence. and I'm afraid it's going to go cold.
I don't understand why that more forensics can't be done within the house when you have a child that's missing. I just don't understand why that in itself is not reason to do forensics.
Right.
I mean, that should be enough. There shouldn't have to be anything to do a warrant. I mean, because it's a missing child that was missing from inside the home. But I don't know that they haven't done some forensics, but I don't know that it's, how I know they've searched the house several times, but other than that, I don't know how much deep forensics they've done.
Right. And that is something that should probably become a policy change for Tennessee in general.
Almost like a procedural thing.
Yeah, because I think that this is a state by state kind of issue.
Yes, I'm starting to believe that too. Yeah.
Whereas other
that's
states
kind of beginning to be, yes.
Yeah, so I guess I do agree with both of you that the case is likely going cold. And but just to kind of add a different direction on it, I think what happened is that they should have known something was wrong when they got that first call, and it was not to 911. And if they didn't realize that there was a red flag there, then as soon as they knew those shoes were accounted for and that this child was supposedly barefoot, that should have been a major red flag. They should have stopped everything and started looking at the parents at that point. But it doesn't appear that they did. We have that one leak that never got refuted, although other things did, that it was 72 hours later that the police came across some form of evidence or information that made them change their whole direction. If you recall this part of the Crabtree story, which he backtracked on the rest, but he never backtracked on that. And law enforcement never refuted that part either. That something happened at the 72-hour mark that made them go, okay, there's something wrong here. We're changing our whole direction. Well, that's too late. 3 days in was too late. If they didn't realize that something was wrong on that first day, then that's they dropped the ball. And that means that evidence could have been gone, that they could have gathered right away because they were treating it as a missing person, I think is what happened. And so I think they were already behind from the very beginning. And I think like you were saying, Ms. Z, I think they have lots of evidence. They have all this video. They have the flashlights. They have this car in the neighborhood. They have likely lots of good motives, CPS reports that we can't see. They have things that we don't text and things that we'll never see unless there's a trial. So I'm sure they have a lot, but they probably think to get an actual prosecution at this point, they're going to either have to actually find Sebastian, or they're going to have to get somebody to make a deal and talk. I think that's probably where we're at, because the rest is going to be too much circumstantial. I that's terribly sad to say, but there should have been arrests by now. We're looking at other cases. We hear these others and see them going on. You got, Madeline Soto happened at the exact same time, and that dad already indicted and he's facing death penalty. Most likely, and
he's not her dad.
Right.
The boyfriend,
boyfriend, stepdad or stepboyfriend.
Right.
Yeah,
which I think we've talked about this, and we kind of want to look into the mom's involvement in that case, I think, as well. But anyway, I wanted to go through. We've got some really interesting comments.
Yes.
Sam's Pretty Paranormal says, I'm not sure. I'm sort of thinking they are building up a case, but like Auntie says, they are acting that way. So I'm not sure. Ginger Girl says, we already read that one. I'm starting to think that Ellie dropped the ball. Let's see. It seems like they don't have any evidence to build anything, maybe. Some more people that agree with you, Auntie. Sharon says just another poof case. And there seems to be a lot of those, actually. Let's see.
Sue.
Sharon says that Auntie is saying it much more graciously than she would. So that's pretty funny. Well, and Olivia, I have to point this one out because Olivia agrees with me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Well,
that's why I love Olivia. See,
I think I had tried to be optimistic about this throughout, but just the last week or two, it's been hard. Some of that pessimism's coming in for me.
that's a good point, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
KT, that's a great point. The forensics are expensive, and the Proudfoots led Ellie to believe he ran off. That's exactly right.
Yeah, they were
instead of abducted, because abducted would have been a whole other type of investigation, and more resources would have been brought in.
Even we ruled out though the front door, but based on what's been said and what the neighbors have said, he couldn't have gone out the front door, but yet that's the only door that they said he could have gone out of. So
right.
if
that footage can pick up the front door.
right. I mean, that front door, I mean, that right there tells you he didn't leave the home the way that they wanted the police to think he left the home.
You want to read Charlene's?
Sure. Let's see. Charlene Haggerty says, it doesn't become a cold case. I feel they're wanting to make sure they have a solid case before charging them because they have one shot to get it right because of double jeopardy. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I think they have a lot. I think they believe they've got a lot. I think they just don't have a home run on the prosecution. So whatever they're missing is I mean, it could be a waiting game. They may be looking at it like, let's give this a year, see if we can find Sebastian alive or not. Because if they can, then it becomes a much easier to get a conviction, you know?
I kind of would have addressed that. The DA needs Monster of Secrets says the DA needs a prosecutor that can handle this case. One chance to get it right against Bowersock's money. You know, being in the community before this case, just to FYI, before this case, we never have heard of the Bowersocks. And we are very familiar with people who have money in our community. And I just don't know if they have as much money as it seems. So, because I think if they were influential at all, we would have heard of them. It's not that gigantic of a place. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's like the Bowersocks run the town kind of situation.
No,
it's not like that.
No.
There's quite a few.
And she's even a realtor. And I pretty much know every realtor in this community, and I've never heard of her.
There's a lot of realtors here, no doubt.
A lot. Let's see. Debbie
Clark, no DNA was found. No fingerprints were found for Sebastian except a blanket that he loved.
I don't know anything about a blanket.
Yeah, I'm not sure about a blanket.
I guess I think he's saying that they didn't find fingerprints in the house except for his blanket, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Okay. And Sue says barefoot is a major red flag. That's what every time we have a discussion about everything, it always comes back to those shoes.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Throughout. Every time we've had a theory that we thought, especially the theories, because I mean, I think we all want Sebastian to be found alive and well. And most of those theories get, you know, the contradiction becomes those missing shoes. Or him not wearing shoes, and it kind of tosses a lot of those out because the shoes are the problem. That should have been a major red flag, and you have to assume they knew that from the first day, that would have been one of the questions they asked right up front.
Aunt E, you want to read that one?
Yes. Ellie can't find one thing to charge them with. CPS reports would yield same kind of charge.
Some kind of charge.
Yep. I think that too. That's one of the reasons I'm starting to feel I agree with you. I think that's one of the reasons this case is going to become cold, because they could be putting pressure on one of them. You know, actually, let's talk about this too. So speaking of pressure, there have been a lot of things that have kind of popped up that have been like rumors, or we're not sure how accurate the information is and that kind of thing. And in general, we have tried to stay away from that. But one of the ones that seems at least somewhat legitimate, or I think is likely to be legitimate, is that car We hadn't had a show since the car video was shown.
It actually came out while we were doing our last
Yeah,
show.
right. We've had that happen a couple of times where some major thing is broken right in the middle of the show. Well, that video of the car where the lights come on and it appears that that's where the flashlights were going. That does seem like legitimate video. We don't know the time or whatever. But I think of course, and there's been a lot of speculation about the car, whose it is, what type of vehicle. Yes, you got a thought?
I was just going to say, let us know if you've seen that video by ones and twos. One, if you've seen it, and two, if you haven't. Just because some people may not realize what you're talking about.
Yeah. If you don't know, so if you remember the flashlight video where it looked like there's a couple of flashlights in the backyard of the Proudfoot's home. One seems to go towards the road, like away from the house, and one appears to go back to the Proudfoot home. It's very dark, hard to tell exactly what kind of light it is. Maybe a flashlight, maybe a cell phone light, something like that. Anyway, the one flashlight goes towards, like, in the direction to leave the neighborhood. And in a video that was released a few days ago, from that same security camera from a home, you can see that there is a parked car. The lights turn on and the taillights come on. You can't quite make out what type of vehicle it is. There's been a lot of speculation. I've seen folks do all kinds of different theories about it. My thoughts when I saw it was just that to me, it appeared to be either an SUV or a truck. I didn't think it was a car or a sedan.
It was too high.
It seemed a little bigger, maybe even a minivan, but I think more like truck or SUV. Was that your thought when you saw the image as well?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was an SUV.
It looks like most people have seen the video, so good.
And I'm sure, lots of folks have analyzed and done all kinds of techniques, and that's out of our expertise, and we kind of look at those things. But whatever the case, it does appear that vehicle was involved in some way, either in actually removing possibly Sebastian from the home or part of a cleanup, cover up kind of situation, maybe something like that. And it seemed like it happened around maybe 3:30 or so in the morning. If that's the case, if that does all turn out to be accurate, that means we have a third party involved. I know there's some thought that maybe it's Chris, with a cover story to get out of Memphis, setting up his phone, racing back to Hendersonville, racing back and being in time for a 5:15 arrival at work. And a lot of this stuff we as a public cannot quite verify. Like we are told he was at work at 5:15, but do I personally know that as a solid fact? I don't.
Well, you don't, because the police haven't come out and said that.
Right. We don't.
That's kind of an unfair thing.
We're told that that's the case, but I don't know that that's the case.
I believe that was Seth's PI that came up with that.
Yeah. So maybe it's a maybe, right? So a lot of these things with Chris's cover story are a maybe. He is at a trailer park or the RV park where they do have tons of cameras. They have to at places like that for their own security.
Safety.
There's so many robberies and things like that.
Yeah,
that
we stay at
happen.
RV parks and there's always tons of cameras.
Yeah. So, if his truck left, you would think he'd have to be caught on camera somehow.
Unless he was in another vehicle or borrowed a vehicle.
Well, but Aunt E,
Right.
wouldn't you have seen him leave his trailer to get in the other vehicle?
Possibly.
And be gone for several hours. There really are quite a few cameras, unless they're not operating. If they're fake, that's possible, I suppose.
And if he
and I-40, here's a good example too. Is I-40 is full of cameras.
Yes,
it's full of cameras.
Any vehicle that traveled Memphis and Nashville, it's really the only way to go. Is I-40.
There's some back roads you could go, but
it would take you forever to do that. If it's a 3.5 hour, 3.5 hour drive or so. So 7 hours of travel time. I don't know. That's tough, but let's say even if that is the case, if he did have some secondary vehicle somehow slipped out of the park, he's probably still doing that with some kind of help. It would appear. But regardless, it does look like that there might be a third party involved. And if that is true, if there is a family member or a hired person, somebody helping them to coordinate or swap vehicles, all of these kinds of things that seem possible right now. Well, that means, the more people that know of the situation, the better hope there would actually be that the case could be solved. Because all it takes is one mistake from any one of three people, maybe more than three even, and that you could crack the case open. Maybe one of them makes a deal, one that has less involvement than the others, or they just make a mistake in a text or a phone call at the wrong time, or they
Right.
pinged off a tower, whatever it is. You want leverage eventually on these people. You want one of them to want to make a deal at some point, I think, to get them talking. We got KT here. If Ellie knew where the cameras are, he could have walked to a lot next door to the park.
I mean, that's definitely possible. Anything's possible. And KT also says that Mama Bowersox is her suspicion, and I think that's a lot of ours too. And I agree here with Marcia.
Marcia says, Chris made very bold statements in the beginning of this case. Sebastian would never be found. The best thing Sebastian did was leave no evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was slippage right there.
Yeah.
Those are bold statements, and that it would be a case for the history books.
Yes, he said all kinds of things like that. Though, if I want to be hopeful, they were sloppy about some things. They were sloppy about the shoes. They were sloppy in their story. They were on the phone from 9 to midnight. Then it became 9:43 to 11:45. They didn't even want to tell the phone call story at first. They kind of added that later.
It was on the Duchess interview.
I know, but even in that interview, they don't tell that originally. Later in that interview, he says something like, "Well, to be maybe crystal clear," but that wasn't.
It was. It was the first instance of crystal clear ever.
Something like transparency. He did say something like that. He then told that part where they were on the phone, because at first, when Katie in that interview first tells the story, she just acts like she tells Sebastian good night, and then at midnight she goes to bed. She doesn't mention the phone call. Chris adds that later in that Duchess interview, when he does the transparency, crystal clear, and all that kind of thing. So they've been contradicted several times. We want to go to some of these comments. I've seen a couple that looked great too. Diane Summerhalder, I believe it's a union job, and crane operation doesn't start until 7 a.m. I would think the hospital would not want patients disturbed so early.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
There is a noise ordinance in Memphis for construction as well, and it cannot start before 7 a.m. That's the actual construction work. So that's something that I did find today.
Blackhawk 57 Magnum. I also looked over in the Bowersox neighborhood. I saw 2 Ring cameras prior to their home. Not sure Mama Bowersox could have left without being seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what role she's played exactly.
I actually want to make a note to Blackhawk 57 real quick.
Yeah.
In my research, I found that the Bowersox moved in April of 2024. So
further away
yeah, than they were to Chris and Katie,
because where they were before was about a 10-minute drive.
Yeah, where they were before was about a 10-minute drive, and they're further out in Sumner County.
Probably 20, 30 minutes, 30 minutes
away. They're over by the airport.
Yeah. Okay.
No, probably 50. Oh, from their house. Yeah, probably 20, 25
so they're
minutes
further
now.
From where.
Yeah, with traffic and everything. I just wondered if we were looking at the same place, because I researched it and found that they had moved in April of 2024.
Yeah, and this would be a question of, okay, so I know, a lot of us are starting to look at the Bowersox now. I just wondered, did the police that early on, before these, cameras overwrite where they lose the footage, did they get to her neighborhood in that second or third day where they can catch some of that before it's gone? Debbie Clark, we have nothing to go on that CP clocked in at 5:15 a.m. Sebastian disappeared at roughly 6:04 a.m. The police were called at roughly a certain time. Yeah, it's just that one PI. And
Yeah.
that's all
can't
we have.
confirm
We
that,
don't.
yeah.
It is at this point. It's just
It's hearsay.
we don't
really.
know how good that information is. She might have that might just be an eyewitness recollection, and that could be wrong. We don't know. We can't confirm it.
This is a good point too. Go ahead.
Zoots and Boots. Hi, guys. Would police investigators be terribly concerned or suspicious about Chris's alleged scouting the neighborhood for footage himself? Will that be seen as a proactive, caring search effort?
I have to say, when I first heard it, that made me think of him being a concerned parent. Or someone that wanted to make sure that anything that happened wasn't seen. So
I think I mean
you look at it either way.
Yeah.
I think investigators believed them at first, unfortunately.
Yeah.
In general, I think they bought their story.
And then Marmy RH is from Quebec. Just found you today. I didn't know where to send all of this. It's very interesting. Send what? Marmy?
I don't know, but we're
but we
intrigued now.
do have Olivia, if you wouldn't mind, or I could do it real quick. Our email address is let's see, Mr. E True Crime at gmail.com. And you can send anything over there to us that you would like. Let's see.
Well, so let's say if it is, I know that's a leading theory for a lot of folks, and I think it's possible that Bowersox are involved. Or like KT is saying, Mom Bowersox wants that granddaughter really bad. CP had CP called on him by Sebastian's school, motive to get rid of Sebastian. Yeah, I think that could be a motive for her. So I think it's possible. If that's the case, then you would also have to think that likely both Bowersox know what happened. You wouldn't think that she could be involved in some way and her husband, Bowersox.
No, yeah, I was reading
her husband not also know. So there you would have like 4 people and possibly more in the know. And people talk and people make mistakes. And the more people that know things, the more likely this case is going to fall apart for whoever disappeared this child.
I actually want to address this too. Charlene McPike says there's a creator that drove from Hendersonville to Memphis, took 2.5 hours. I know it was Terry Lynn, and we have driven to Memphis several times from this area, and it always takes us right at 3. I wouldn't say 3.5 hours. It takes us right at 3 hours, almost on the nose.
2.5 would be flying.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Be really moving.
And
I don't even think you could do it.
I'll tell you why I know this for a fact, because I want to go to IKEA very often, and they do not have one in the Nashville area. They have one in Memphis and they have one in Atlanta. So I try to decide every time that I want to go to IKEA if I need to go to Atlanta or Memphis. And ultimately I pick Atlanta because Memphis is a really mean place. And I don't like to go there. So, but we've driven it for, our kids' soccer and all kinds of stuff several times. And it takes us and we drive probably 75, 80 miles an hour, and it still takes us 3 hours. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that in 2.5 hours.
And I mean, of course, she might have done it at a time of day when it was not, as busy. I know.
I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can. Not in 2.5.
I'm not saying she's lying or anything, but I mean, I don't think we could do it.
No.
Well, maybe she picked from their house to where he was working, and there was a little less time because of where he was working, the work site versus their home. I don't know. I mean,
it's at St. Jude, so let me look and see where St. Jude is.
Yeah, we could just Waze it or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do our Waze
and see. Solve the controversy right here on the spot.
Right,
we could do that.
I thought this one was interesting. Nanny Nut 65 says CP said you don't look for something not lost, or you look for something not lost, or why look for something not lost. Yeah, right. He did make that comment again, one of his strange comments, and they've had so many contradictions. Why that is not a red flag to the police is beyond me. Why, why are all these contradictions not notated somewhere and brought into the police to say, hey, what's the deal?
I always kind of wonder,
sorry.
I have, that Hendersonville doesn't have a lot of like major crime, I mean, there have been some murders in the history and that kind of thing, but it's not something that they deal with that frequently. So I just kind of wondered if maybe they're just not, they don't have the experience for it.
But
for a case like this.
But you got to look at TBI. They brought in TBI. They brought in the FBI. They've got people that were versed in looking into serious crime. Why were they not led by those people, and why was it not taken over?
It's just that early on things are so important when you get them in that interrogation room at the beginning, when they're all still kind of nervous and rattled and they don't have their story straight yet. They needed to be like if you ever watch the Madeline Soto the
body cam
or his interrogation.
Oh, I haven't watched his interrogation.
He makes all kinds of mistakes.
Oh wow.
And they masterfully really get him to contradict. So they know things that he doesn't know that they know, and they walk him into trap after trap after trap. And it's like, man, these guys were really good. They really nailed him.
Florida does,
and I wonder where
they do.
Not every detective is equal in skill. I would assume some are better than others. Or in Orlando has quite a bit of serious crime, and so maybe these guys just don't have the experience in that type of situation to know how to really lure in a potential suspect.
I have our answer.
Oh, we got the Waze answer.
Waze says from our house it would be 3 hours and 36 minutes, and they live about 10 or 15 minutes away from us.
Yeah, you could
closer.
You could take 15 minutes off.
So
of that
I would say 3 hours and 15 minutes to the work site
by Waze.
According to Waze. I can show you guys if you want to see Waze there.
So I don't know. You have to shave 45 minutes in speed to get there, which I don't know. Maybe you could do that really, really hauling, but that would be kind of risky too, right? Like if you're trying to be involved in a, if he's traveling to Hendersonville at that rate of speed to be a part of a crime, the last thing he wants is a ticket somewhere. I would think. But maybe he did.
A lot of good points.
Yes, there are.
I do want to point out Olivia is showing how to become a member on our channel. If anybody would be interested, there's the link, and I believe it's starred at the top of the chat as well. Let's see. All right.
The PI spoke to the man was standing in the construction site with at 5:15 a.m. He didn't actually start work until 7 a.m.
Yes, he was drinking coffee, right?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who goes to work an hour and 45 minutes before they have to start work? I mean, that's early.
Especially when he'd been up to midnight talking to his wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he slept for 5 hours and got straight.
Well, he wouldn't have slept for 5 hours because he would have had to get dressed and drive there.
Probably like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Marcia.
Do you want to
read
it?
That might be a problem with the story.
Yes.
So Marcia,
does anyone believe that Ellie has watched any interviews that Chris and Katie have done? I can't believe that they wouldn't have. Surely they know and have investigators that are looking into these crazy interviews that they've done. They've done so many interviews. I mean, Nancy Grace is a huge one that they did. And so hopefully they have. I would think that they would have watched them. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I think
they've watched everything
multiple times. I'm sure. I mean, I think they are working on the case. I just think they were behind, and I just think they didn't realize what they were dealing with early enough.
Terry, I'm sorry, T. Hewley. Isn't there a self-storage unit near the high school? Yes, we actually drove over to it. I can probably pull that up here in a minute if you want to see it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about
if you guys want to see it, hit 1. If you don't, hit 2.
So what's interesting about that storage unit, it's right across the street from Beach High School where Sebastian went to school. So this is like a half mile away from the Proudfoot home. It also happens to be right next door to that Worsham's Market that everyone or several people have claimed to have seen the grandmother, Bowersox, at that morning. I think they're up to 3 to 6 witnesses or so that have claimed to have seen this in various ways. Before 6 a.m., she's supposed to have been there, what the witnesses claim. And that storage building, it's not like one that's gated. It actually has like some outside, like you could just drive up to your car,
Access
open one of the
point.
garages, and go in and out without going through a putting in a code and going through a gate and all of that. So if you were like storing evidence or something like that, that would be a very quick way to do it. Of course, I would think there'd have to be some cameras around, both at the market and the high school across the street and the storage building.
Right.
But, maybe if you black something properly with your car, again, even if you had, so how much evidence is enough evidence? So like, even if they had them coming in and out of a storage unit, is that enough to like get an indictment? Unless you know.
Right.
Um,
So it looks like everybody wants to see it. So you guys keep talking and I will
wants to see the video.
yes. All right. Let's see. You guys keep talking and I'll work on the production side. You guys get to see me produce live.
So we were talking about third party also. I know a leading theory is that it's the Bowersox family that has that car, that maybe they were there either removing Sebastian, possibly just as a cleanup effort. If that were the case, and that, to get rid of evidence somehow. But it could have been a third party also that was maybe hired. You just don't know who people know in the world, and if they have a couple of shady characters they've come across.
Well, I thought you said a bad word for a minute. You said shady.
I said shady.
It sounded like something else.
Shady, yes.
Oh, we have a new member, Mimi.
Oh,
Mimi Justice for Summer.
yay!
Thank you. Yeah, so
And
I was Justice
actually-
for Summer. I'm assuming is referring to Summer Wells, who's they had that 3-year just pass also, and it's hard not to think about.
Well, you've been wanting,
in terms of Summer Wells.
You might want to tell her what you're thinking about doing with me, because I don't know a whole lot about the Summer Wells case.
Oh yeah, so I know a little more about Summer Wells than Mrs. E does, and I had watched the video with the guy from, his name's escaping me, but from the interview room where he actually goes out to their home, and the mother gives like a tour and tells the whole story from start to finish. And she's never seen it, so I thought it might be interesting. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Like McDonough. I was watching him today.
McDonough.
Yeah, I was name. But he does a great interview with her. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. But you start to see he's friendly. He's very warm. You can tell his background as a homicide detective. It's kind of reminded me of the Orlando with the Soto story. He knows how to befriend her and lure her in and get her talking without her even realizing what she's revealing. He's very disarming, and he does a great job. But she's never seen that video. In the house, the video tells a whole story. So I thought it might be kind of interesting for us to kind of go through that video if we want to cover the Summer Wells story at some point. To have her watch the video. And Auntie, I don't think you've seen this video either, have you?
I have not seen the video. I know a little bit more about the case. I've read about the case, but I would like to see the video just to kind of hear that perspective.
But that might be kind of fun to do on a live stream, and interesting to kind of see your real-time reactions to some of the things that happen, because it's an eye opener when you hear her try to tell the story and you see the environment that the story takes place. So we might do that at some point.
It looks like Mimi for Justice for Summer said it was a really good video that we need to watch it. So we'll definitely try to watch that.
Yeah, it changes your whole perspective of the case.
You can tell them too about what we were thinking about at the beginning, about you giving me cases to see if I can crack them.
Yes, just to see if we thought we've had different ideas about what to do with the channel and different ways to present things. But yeah, I like that, to see if have you Yeah, see if you can piece things together about stories that you don't know anything about.
Well, they don't know my background and my ability to solve things. You might want to tell them
You're
because I'm amazing.
You are. You're very insightful. She's a very good judge of character and figuring out agendas like that, like in real time. So she does have that kind of skill. So
I also can figure out the end of books and movies.
Yes, and that type of thing. So
he wanted to test my abilities.
Yeah, very, very good at putting things together quickly with little information.
I did find the video. It is the neighborhood video, so I have to go further ahead. Unless we want to go through the neighborhood yet again. Let's see. Oh, here we go. All right. Okay, so that's leaving their house.
Yeah, let's just do that, and we can point out where the high school is because that's important.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going backward. Hold on.
Because it's looking like if the story is true that Mrs. Bowerstocks was at that market, and if that is indeed her car, then that's all very important.
Right. So how far back do you want me to go?
Passing Beach, maybe.
Okay. Well, so this is leaving their neighborhood is where we're at right now. Okay.
So the Proudfoot's home is behind us right now.
Yeah. If you guys want to see the Proudfoot home again, you can hit 1. And if you don't, hit 2. I'm not going to be offended. I've seen it a lot.
Right. Karen Alberini says, I don't believe Chris loves wife number 5 enough to cover up a murder for her. And I think Mr. E and I had said something about that. We weren't quite sure. And Miss Z too. We said we're not so sure that he would cover up for her. But I kind of have to agree with you.
Before we go on with this video, this is a very important comment from Sharon. It says, yes, you are amazing, Mrs. E. You all are amazing. Thank you, Sharon. You're sweet. Sorry, I said that was funny. Funny because I don't think I'm amazing, really. I just like to say, I say that sometimes to be funny. Okay, so we've got a couple of 1s. Do we need to back up and go past their house again?
Sure. Well, let's just go back.
We'll go through the controversy of whether the van was there or not.
I think it's always good to look at the home and kind of it just helps to visualize when you're reading about a story to actually know the terrain.
Well,
so you know what's realistic and what's not.
I've heard rumors there's people out there in the YouTube universe that have said that they were saying that they debunked the missing van.
Oh yeah.
Except the van was
missing
when we drove by. It was.
You didn't say it was missing forever. It was missing that day.
Right. It was missing when we were there.
It's funny.
So, and it hadn't been. It had been there every day for quite some time. And the day you guys drove by, it was gone.
Yeah. So, but there have been people that acted like we were giving out false information.
Yeah.
Because of that, which is really funny because I follow a lot of these people and like them. I like listening to them, but the information wasn't false because, well, I have video footage showing it was not there.
Well, let's prove that it was not there.
Okay, we'll back up. All right.
So apparently she's back to work, but we did not know this at the time.
We did not at that time. We had no clue. Okay.
We were actually surprised the vehicle wasn't there. We weren't even there for that.
Okay. So we're going up the street to the construction site just so you guys can see. Yes, we heard since then that Katie was back at work, but when we drove by, we just thought, what's going on? Yeah. There's no van. So,
because at the time we had people in our chat that night that were saying, well, maybe it's been seized by law enforcement, or maybe she's been fired, maybe she's back to work. Like we just didn't know. It was just a speculation. And it turned out she was back at work.
Okay. So this is the construction site that everybody talks about. Again, back with the red clay dirt. And how messy that would be and how many footprints and car tracks and everything else would show up there.
Yes. No way a barefoot child could have walked through there without leaving footprints.
Right. So back down from the construction site, this is the street that we mentioned that there's at least 20 Ring cameras or
driveway cams.
Yeah. And several with the cameras on like the corners of the home, like real security, All
right. And so now we're turning on to their street.
And this is actually,
I'll pause when we get there.
Yeah. In that video, that car that has the lights turned on, it looks like it's somewhere around here.
Right around here.
Yeah. Kind of in between. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's not a forest behind his house.
It's just
That's a
few
ditch.
trees.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like a little creek ditch kind of thing. It's got water running through it a little bit, but it gives off the appearance overhead that it's a big wooded area, but it's not. The trees are fairly sparse.
But if you were a kid or an adult trying to sneak up or out of that house, that's the way you'd go.
Right.
You'd have a little tree cover. You'd have very few cameras pointed at you
until you get right here.
This is the direction you would go. So
and then that's around the area where everybody was saying, or where the car was parked.
Probably where our camera is at the moment.
Right.
Like right now, that we're probably in that spot where that car, pretty close
to where the car was.
Maybe, but it's pretty close to here. And then of course those flashlights would have been up to the left. So, so a parked car waiting for a cleanup to finish or a handoff.
I mean, that would be about the only place. I mean, I'm trying to look closely at this and see. I'm going to make it bigger so we can see it. But I mean, I'm looking to see if there's any cameras back there in the.
See, I wonder if back then, if they'd had an idea the first day that there was foul play, could they have gotten a scent from the parents to see if it was in that back area?
I don't know.
Like if they had, but days later it wouldn't have done them any good.
Interesting.
I want,
Huh. Okay. I'm going to keep going just because we've got to keep moving. Yes. And hi, Tiffany. And Tiffany is correct. A narcissist will cover for someone if it benefits them.
Yeah, I think it.
Oh, that's their house. Sorry.
I think they both saw a benefit and they had their own motive.
I need to go backwards.
But I think if this is ever solved, I think that's the way it'll be.
For you guys,
Chris will have his own agenda and Katie will have had hers.
Whoops.
It'll be different.
For you guys that are wondering about, did I go too far?
It's really hard to see it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is I think that seeing that backyard is kind of important.
Yes.
So that people that haven't seen it see it. Sorry about the glare.
That's the backyard there.
Okay, we're almost there. I'll stop when we get to the backyard. Okay. No, I meant their particular backyard.
The Proudfoot's backyard.
Yes, I'm trying to. Okay. So you can kind of see it here. If you guys look over to the left-hand corner, you'll see that fence and a little white door.
Mm-hmm.
That is their backyard. It's fenced in. Right.
And what's the white door?
I believe it's a crawl space.
Gotcha.
They do have a crawl space.
Yeah. Because they talk about Katie searching the crawl space. Yeah. But you can see behind, if you look through the fence there, you can see that on the other side of the fence, there's grass again. There's really not trees. So,
yeah.
And you will see here in a minute, maybe on the other side, this is their house. On the other side, you will see that it backs right up to someone else's house.
And also you'll see
yard. And there's no van.
Right. The missing van.
We did not remove this van with special effects. It was not there. Only 103 likes. Come on, guys.
103 likes and 262 people here. It takes 1 second to like our videos. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we would appreciate it. We would, because it helps us with the algorithm. We'll be honest. And we would like to have more people join us for a discussion, and so we can figure this out together.
Yeah, more the merrier. I love all the different voices and thoughts and everything on these streams, and reading a lot of. You guys are on fire tonight. Actually, this is some really good stuff. I don't know how we can read it all.
Well, we even talk to the people that don't like us.
We do.
So, yeah, and we don't yell at them. So, okay. So I'm going to keep going because the whole thing was for Worsham's Market and not Worsham's, but the beach storage. So we're going back up the street and turning around. Let's see. You guys got to see their house. Do we need to? Can I just skip ahead? You think?
Yes.
I think so. Okay, let's skip ahead. Going back down the hill.
So if the car backed up and turned around, this is where that would have happened, according to that neighbor, Bobby.
Yeah. So we're going back down the hill to the street.
Oh, so that's that's where they would have turned around right there.
Yeah.
So that would have been a good place to wait because you're not having to drive by a ton of cars before you get back out here. I'm going to guess whoever turned that car on made a mistake letting their headlights come on.
Yeah, I think so.
Because so many cars, they just come on automatically and they just messed up.
Right.
Another careless mistake. They've made mistakes. These people, whoever they are, have made mistakes here and there. So that's a reason.
We're on our way to the high school, right?
Yes, we're on our way to the high school. You'll see on the right is the new subdivision that's being built. That was the construction. I'm sorry, on the left that was connected. Let's take down Olivia's comment so I can see. And on the right, there's the fire station. And we are already at the high school over here on the left.
It takes no time at all to get from their house to the high school.
It takes 1 minute, I think, almost exactly from their house. Do you want me to stop?
No, it's okay. Keep going to abortion.
Gail said you're driving a little too fast.
I agree. I was not happy about this. I did not know that we'd be showing this repeatedly forever.
I should have done a second take. But yeah, so we're basically.
So this is the element. No, that's the middle school. That's elementary.
Pretty big high school. Pretty big campus there.
Yeah.
But that's where Katie would have gone to look, supposedly.
We need to drive around there. We just haven't had time yet. But we need to go take.
So this is a pretty major intersection.
This is at Long Hollow Pike and
yeah, I know. I never can remember.
New Shackle Island.
But to go right is how you would go to get to the bypass. So like if it were say Chris going to Memphis, he would be making a right there. He'd hop on the bypass a mile or so away and head toward Nashville. Making a left though takes you over here to Worsham's Market, Beach High School on the left, and the Worsham's is going to appear on the right.
No, it's a T.W. Hunter Middle School is on the left, and behind it is Beach.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the market. I'm trying to slow down, fast driver. Okay, so here's Worsham's Market, right here. And as you get immediately past Worsham's Market, here's the weird part. This is Beach Storage. This is where they supposedly have a storage unit.
And so this is. Go ahead.
Zoots and Boots ask, is it a liberal or conservative area? I'm not in the U.S. I would call it a conservative area. Wouldn't you guys?
The county as a whole?
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah. Probably not like a massively one way or the other, but I probably 60%.
Conservative.
Vote. Yeah, I would guess. It's kind of that way.
Gail's going to give you a speeding ticket. She's getting car sick. Bless her heart.
So I don't know if this is where everybody else's mind goes, but my mind
Misty's
goes to
here. Hi, Misty.
If Katie were running out to go to the high school, did she also stop by the storage unit or stop by where
I'm going to get a little closer to it.
Mrs. Bauer's house? Why was she there? Were they swapping something, hiding something?
I also want to point out that behind the storage unit, there's a creek that runs behind it that goes behind Worsham's as well.
I don't know about you. I don't see cameras there.
No.
Yeah, we did. Where
do we see cameras?
Yeah, they're right there at the door.
Okay, so the
because
front.
Our middle E pointed it out.
Okay, where are the cameras?
I don't know. It might be blocked, but
I know Worsham's
at this first door. At this first door, there's a camera.
Okay.
Middle E. Maybe when we turn around.
But it's not like every angle's covered, is it?
No.
So
I don't see any on that corner at all. That last corner.
On that, well.
But it might have some blind spots.
Maybe we ought to go back and drive slower. What do you think?
Well, we weren't doing this originally looking for the camera.
Right. But I was actually trying to figure out if there was a way, and there is a way to go behind Beach High School to get over here and behind the middle school and get to T.W. Hunter.
Right. She could have cut through this parking lot, come out of the middle school, and driven right over here.
Yeah.
And
we should go do that.
And be part of her.
This is funny. Marcia says a true crime, a channel that takes us places and a channel that is going places. Excellent channel.
Aw.
Thank you. That's very nice.
That's very sweet.
And this was something we'll talk about in a minute, Misty. She said,
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. E, what do you all think about the audio clip? We'll talk about that in just a moment.
Yeah. We
And
have that
thanks
on
for
our.
being here, Misty. Misty is one of our newest moderators.
Yes, thank you.
And
Misty.
also a member of our channel. And we appreciate
Thank
her
you.
as well. Also, before I forget, because I often do, Olivia is getting ready to go live with her new channel, and she would love to have everybody's subscription. So she's amazing. If she's half as amazing as she is to us, then I'm sure her channel will be excellent, and you should definitely subscribe.
Very good.
All right, sorry.
I don't see. It's hard to see him from this angle.
Yeah, we might go back there. We had thought about doing the camera stuff at beach anyway. Maybe we'll do see what kind of camera situations are at these locations.
Yeah,
as well.
We need to. We were going to go back to Warsham's and really look at that parking lot as well. If you guys would like us to do that, how about a 1 if you want us to? And if you don't care, how about a 2?
Everybody will give that a 1. I think they would give that a 1.
You think they'll give it a 1? I don't know. You'd be surprised. People may not want to see the gravel parking lot of a gas station. I don't know.
See, Tiffany says, in studying psychologists and narcissists, when they cover for someone, it has the aspect of control over the other person. The secret is theirs, and the narcissist knows that fear will make the other.
That fear.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's his personality for sure. He's a manipulator and a control freak. Which to me was confirmed with that Bobby interview when she tells that story about him because the thing about something like that, if you saw that interview, she says that Chris steps out in front of her car, stops their car from driving down in her own neighborhood, like he has the power to do that. And then grills them and questions them and threatens this little girl to go talk to her parent. That is, to me, that just confirmed what we kind of all thought about who Chris is. Because one of the things I had wondered was, does Chris just act like this to YouTubers? Like it's kind of like a media version of Chris, but apparently he's like that in real life to even complete strangers in his neighborhood. It shows you that he doesn't have any boundaries about what's appropriate in controlling somebody else's space and their freedom of movement and things within their own neighborhood. It's audacious, really, to think that you have a right to stand out and berate someone just driving down the street. It's just another indicator what kind of personality he is. So he's very controlling, very just a control freak, I think.
And Gail says, thank you guys for taking us with you. Gail, I'll tell you what, if you subscribe, I promise I will make him go back and drive slower.
And we got a lot of 1s, guys. So it looks like you're going to go on some videoing again.
Yeah, I think the cameras are.
I don't mind going over there, honestly, because, I think we're up to 6 people who spotted Grandma Bowersock there the morning of
before she went to the house
at 5:45 in the morning.
It's looking like she might be a potentially bigger piece of the puzzle than we thought. Because originally, to me, the Bowersocks were kind of like, man, it's not going to be outside of Katie and Chris that are going to have any firsthand knowledge, but it looks like she might. It looks like she was almost waiting at that store to make a move.
That's an interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. This is why I love having so many people here talking, because that's something I would have never thought of.
Maori Girl says, I think they used scent thief spray, which hunters use that covers human and animal scent.
Wow.
I mean, does anybody know if that's possible? We should look into that.
I'm sure it is.
But maybe, I guess I'm wondering if it was ever used in another case, to cover up something.
Do we want to talk about the audio, this leaked audio that we don't really know the sources? I know a couple people were even asking what it was.
Okay. Well, I think originally it came from a tarot reader.
Yes.
I don't know where she got it from.
Well, from what I've learned this afternoon, it was that same Ring camera that Nick Barris had the video with the lights.
That's what they say.
That's what they're saying. It came from that. We don't know for sure. That's why we really didn't want to talk about it too much, other than to say, that's another thing that's come out. But it's very difficult to make out, and and you just about have to put on headphones and turn it up really loud. And I still couldn't make out a whole lot of anything. So it could have easily been, I think, something that was doctored. We're not sure. So we didn't want to validate it or give it a lot of conversation.
Now I do know, I think there's another channel, and I know I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm not going to say it. I know there's another channel that covered almost like a reaction video to the audio. And I believe his name is Justin, but I cannot for the life of me at the moment remember his channel. But I mean,
is it Justin for Justice?
No. I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so.
Sir, no. I heard somebody else talking about his.
No, I don't think so.
The Justin thing.
Right. Okay, Olivia, this is what I was going to say. This is where I'm going with it, because I'm with Olivia. Yeah. She messaged Nick Barris about the audio today, and he said there wasn't any audio because there's not.
Right. So the Ring camera doesn't have audio. So
plus some pearls. That's it. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Ring cameras can have audio, but from what we understand, this one didn't have audio.
It's my understanding it was a CCTV video. CCTV. And some, yes. Am I getting it wrong?
No, that's right.
And some have audio and some don't. But this particular, it was verified, even in that interview with Bobby, that this video did not have audio. So it's my understanding that whoever recorded the video from the screen, that is the audio we are hearing.
Right. So that to say, I guess we don't put a lot of stock in that.
Yeah,
audio.
Right. That's
plus I have heard it, and I can't hear anything other than, like
it's very broken, and you can't really understand it.
Yeah, I don't. The audio, I don't buy. I just don't think that audio is authentic.
I don't either. And so that's kind of okay. You can buy that scent stuff at a sporting goods store. I guess my question is does anybody know if it's been used in any other cases where someone's tried to cover themselves up, and has it worked or has it not worked? I'm just curious. Yeah, it seems like, I mean, seems like that could work.
Yeah.
To cover someone's setup.
That's funny. There's at times I think that they were almost masterminds with this whole thing. And then times that I think they're very sloppy. And I don't know if it's that they're lucky they have not been caught at this point, or if they were really just that clever. So I kind of go back and forth between that.
Well, hey, Misty, do you know the time stamp? Actually, which video and the timestamp, and we'll pull it up and try to listen to it. Everything I heard, it just didn't sound like anything to me. I'm not saying that you didn't hear something or that it's not there. It just didn't sound like, it just sounded like noise to me. But I will preface that with, I can't see ultrasounds or hear things like either. So, I'm not good at looking at or listening to garbled things. And
I heard you have to be listening to it with headphones on because you can't hear it, and I wasn't, so I couldn't hear it. So I'm going to have to go back and try to listen and put headphones in to see if it blocks out the sound and isolates the voices more, because I couldn't hear anything either.
Do dash cams run when the car's not running? That's something I don't know.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Oh, Olivia, is that? Thank you, Olivia. Does anybody know the timestamp? Because I don't want to waste anybody's time. Oh, Mimi.
Yeah, Maui Girl.
That was me.
Just wanted to mention before, Maui Girl had said that a lot of folks, if you're into hunting and that kind of thing, or military, you would know about that canceling spray. And it is I don't know if Chris is a hunter. I don't know if
I'm sorry. I'm trying to click
it's
on it.
definitely a big hunting community. There's definitely a lot of that here.
Olivia, I'm trying to click on it, and it just won't work when I try to click on it. It's not you. It's user error. Is there any way, Olivia? I hate to ask this, but could you email that to me? I could pull it up really fast if you email it to me. I would really appreciate it.
Here's a good one that Kay said. The one thing they didn't account for was CP's loud mouth and ego.
Yeah. So isn't that where the sloppiness comes in, right? He's just, I mean, it's just, if they were smart, they would have quit talking. Katie was smart. She quit talking. Chris just kept going on and incriminating himself.
Well, there was one, and it's one of our followers mentioned it earlier, that one of those early interviews where she jabs him with her elbow, and you're like, just some.
Or what about the one where
where the kind of
like that motion?
We never even talked about that, but that was one of those things
that
was
was
like,
creepy.
oh my goodness,
that was creepy.
Yeah, especially when you slowed it down and looked at it.
I mean, we're talking about body language giveaways. That was really, really big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we watch a lot of those body language and linguistics people. And I don't know.
That was it. I mean, she said something like, I went to go look for him at beach or something. But he was already, she does like, that. And you're like, what? Okay.
That was kind of scary.
Yeah, it was chilling. Actually, it was.
Oh my gosh.
Misty Fisher, I clearly heard. Katie, it's okay. I know the prosecutor. I heard many things. I couldn't hear anything with earbuds. I had to break out my noise canceling headphones.
Okay, so maybe we shouldn't play it. It's going to just sound like noise, right?
Right.
I don't know. We could try it and see.
Well, it's not just reading through our chat here. It sounds like some people have heard things. Some people have said it's kind of like you hear things if you want to hear them. They're not sure, So the thing is, the thing that's hard is we can't confirm that audio,
right,
is as legitimate at all. We don't know. We don't know where that audio has come from or who put it together.
So Misty said she thinks it sounds like it came from a dash cam because it sounds like people in a car having a conversation.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay. Olivia says it's on her channel under shorts. I'll try to do that. I don't know how, but I'll try. If you need to look at comments, you can look at them on your computer while I'm doing this.
So one of the things I had thought about this, and I don't know if the audio is going to end up being legitimate or not. I tend to think it's not. But we're starting to get into that point. It feels like with the case where we get these like, not authentic leaks and stories and things. It's really like not real information coming out. We're going to start getting more hoaxers and things like that. I think like did you see the cousin the other day supposedly posting a thing about?
Yeah, that was supposed to be some anonymous cousin that said he couldn't take it anymore. He was having bad dreams. And I think sometimes you do get people out here just because they want to be able to report on something. These podcast, I don't know that it's podcasters, but just people that are on these internet groups, and it gives them something to talk about. So I think that's where some of that comes from. Kevin says case is ice cold. 0000 is next. No searches, etc.
That's funny. Sorry, I can't see everything right now because I'm looking for this. For whatever reason, I can't find Olivia's channel, even though I subscribe to it. Let's see.
And this is a good comment too. It says both Chris and Katie were in the military, so they would definitely know about scent thief spray.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's right. Oh. I was thinking the hunter angle, but you're right. Military would know that, wouldn't they?
And then Wanda says you can hear Katie's voice say, "Oh my God."
Yeah, and I guess I kind of overlook the military aspect, but that training, they would know a lot about, security, getting around and being, some stealth techniques and things like that could be useful in a situation like this.
Karen
Alberini says that Katie has a black belt.
Yeah, I knew that. I did know that. Okay, let me see. I'm working on it, guys. Let's see.
Yeah. Like the blacking out the lights at the home, techniques like that, things that they did that might be from military training, because you would know them.
Mimi said it sounds like a spirit box. I think. What's a spirit box? I don't even know what that is.
Oh, that's something people use in ghost hunting to speak supposedly with the dead. Okay, I've got Olivia's channel. Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Olivia, are you going to strike us if we use your video?
Please don't strike us,
Do we have
Olivia.
permission?
Yeah, that's a word I've learned. Okay. So I'm assuming, Olivia, that it is the third one over. What do you hear, if anything? Let's see. Oh, Wanda says if it's not authentic, she sent it to FBI, LE, and TBI. But where did she get it? That's my question. If it's authentic, why is she not giving her source?
Well, you'd have to think that they have everything.
Yeah.
So if it is authentic, they've got it anyhow.
Okay.
No, but nobody would just hold on to this and then send it to a YouTuber without giving it to police first.
Right. Okay. I think this is the right one.
And now I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to customize. We're going to slow it down
Can you guys
to
hear it?
77%.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what you hear. And now I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to customize. We're going to slow it down to 77.
Okay. Did anybody make anything out there?
No.
No, I
Mitzi says she heard a voice say "OMG."
I could kind of tell there was a voice in there, but that was about all I could make out of it. Yeah, this is Sharon Marlowe.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Tennessee governor signs bill allowing death penalty for child rapists.
Wow, that's
wow. That's big.
So I don't. Is that the final step on that? I guess is that, or is there another process after? So that's great. That's great news. Hopefully, a bipartisan issue there.
Wow. See, I didn't hear anything. Not that I don't believe that Misty didn't. I didn't hear anything. No, I'm sorry, but I'm not good at that kind of thing. So you can't really go by me.
Well, I like to listen. I'll listen to it with my beats on, and that really are noise canceling, and see if I can hear something.
Okay, I'm just really I'm not good at it anyway. So you can't really go by me. If you guys heard something, I would believe it. I'm just not. I just don't hear stuff like that. I can't decipher. I get background noise away from.
The good thing is I mean, if this got leaked to a YouTuber, then they would have also sent it to the FBI, TBI, whoever they have it, or they probably already had it in the first place, and they would have the experts to know how to clean that stuff up and really get in there and get anything out of that that's feasible. So they have it, whatever it is. But it's just too hard to verify.
I think everybody kind of has, it's a mixed bag. I think I'm looking at everybody's, and I kind of am with everybody else. It could be something, it couldn't be something. I just think it's suspicious that we do not know exactly who gave this person the audio for this random person that none of us have ever heard of before.
Yeah.
This started. I mean, I think that's a fair question.
I think so too.
And I don't mean Justin, I mean the tarot card reader lady. And if she did send it to FBI, TBI, and all these things, why didn't the owner of that video already send it in?
Like, yeah, why did it go to her? Like, why did her?
And if they were able to, and if they had received it in the past, then that would feel like that might be enough evidence to, if you hear their voices, to be able to bring them in or interrogate them or arrest them or something, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm suspicious of the lady because I've heard of these things before about people like faking, putting clothes in the woods and things. I've heard of weird things that people will do for clicks and views, and I just am suspicious. So you have to forgive me.
Sure.
That's my nature.
I think because of where we're at in the case, because we are getting to a standstill with it, People aren't talking anymore. The Proudfoots aren't really doing interviews like they were. Seth is quiet. Tony may or may not be off of the whole thing. Like, there's not going to be a lot of news coming out, probably, unless we have another like neighbor like Bobby come out and decide to tell things, or something happens with movement with the police. It does appear to really start to be. It is kind of calming down, I think, unless we have someone like Bobby come forward again with new information. So what I'm saying is we're at that point where we're going to be getting a lot of hoax stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
to fill the air.
This is a good point by Maui Girl. The Proudfoots are really quiet since the neighbors spoke out.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
I don't
crazy,
think they've done another. Crazy. I don't think they've done another interview in quite some time, and now Seth is quiet. I mean, he hasn't said anything in a while as well. Nothing.
Yeah, I agree with Maui Girl too on that. I mean, that I noticed that as well. And since the flashlight stuff, they're not coming out and saying, "Oh, this is all nonsense."
Right.
I think they're starting to realize that law enforcement might have more than they realize they have. And we may not hear from them that often unless it's like puff pieces.
Oh, okay. Okay, Misty, I see your comment. I'm coming to that next.
Casey, in my opinion, Ellie is well aware of this video and they are acting as if it's nothing, but I believe they're keeping it close to the vest. Yeah.
Maybe. Also, I see the Real Me Too. The Real Me Too and I are friends on another channel. Okay. Hi, Real Me Too. Let's see.
We're going back to.
I was going back to Misty's. Yeah.
Okay, Misty Fisher. From my understanding, the person did send it in, and Ellie and TBI ignored them, and they'd say same to the channel creator.
Well, that makes sense.
Neighbors are frustrated because Ellie doesn't seem to take this seriously.
And that goes back to what the neighbors have said too, that they have turned in stuff and they've totally discounted it. The car video with the flashlights, they said, they've told them that wasn't what they thought it was, and they've blown them off as well.
And
Veda Pierce, no doubt it was planned, and to stick it to Seth, Katie did it on the 8th year anniversary of her divorce filing.
I was able to confirm that did happen.
Yeah, that is a big coincidence.
That. And what have we been taught the past few years?
We don't believe in coincidence.
No, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
I agree with Gail Conway. I just want to acknowledge we can't quit looking for Sebastian. Absolutely not. Can't quit. No, we don't give up just because it's we're at this point. The law enforcement in town and everyone still needs to know that the community cares so that they stay on it. So that they don't shelve it.
Okay.
And move on to other
now
things.
I'm confused.
Why is that?
Because this person says it's a spirit box.
Eunice Glashevsky on another channel this morning, they said the original person who did this spirit box recording reported to the police and they hung up on her.
So
this is a spirit box. This is not an actual.
It was my understanding it was audio recording from a CCTV. I'm just curious. Huh.
Okay. Well, I mean, either way, I don't think it's authentic anyway.
KT did that to make me laugh.
Seth was hit with 1202. If you know what 1202 means, I'm sorry for all of you. And if you don't know, you're probably better off that you don't know. But yeah. So what she's
we went camping over the weekend. We went with a bunch of friends and our families, and we were showing the adults the 1202 because they were asking us the craziest thing that's happened in this case so far, and we showed them the 1202.
And it was TikTok Tony, who the rumor out there is that he's been dismissed by Seth in some way, but no one's actually confirmed that yet. So it'd be kind of hard to imagine you're keeping him around at this point.
Well, Seth's been quiet too. Everybody's been quiet.
Yeah, everybody's been quiet. And
is it possible? Is it possible that they're quiet because something's happened?
There's movement. Could be. Sometimes that happens like that. It could be.
I think that's kind of what drove us to this topic tonight was, is it a cold case or is something getting ready to happen?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it feels like, something, right? The Real Me Too loves me.
Man, I hope it would be so. It would be so. exciting to get some movement on this.
Ideally, we want him found alive and safe.
And I still think it's possible.
But if not, we want justice for him.
Yes, one way or the other. We want one or the other, whichever way it is.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Seth was on Bullhorn Betty 2 days ago. He was in our live chat.
Was he? Oh, so he wasn't live. He was just chatting.
So so Saturday-ish.
I guess, not speaking out very much.
Yeah.
But that's good. At least he's around. So I just have to say,
I can see him.
We love you too.
I could imagine. Thank you, me too. I could imagine if I were Seth, and like we've said, I know there may be other opinions out there. Our position has been that we think Seth is completely innocent of all of any disappearance of Sebastian, even if he might have be a flawed person in other ways and made other terrible mistakes. We don't believe he has a direct connection to this disappearance. So that being said, if I were him I think I would probably go through some periods where I just didn't want to talk to press and YouTubes
I would say he's been beat up left and right. He can't do anything right, according to people.
Yeah. I think there would be periods where I'd be like, I just can't talk to these people for a while. And then maybe I'd come back, and then maybe I would.
And for that
it would be exhausting, emotionally exhausting.
To be fair, don't get me wrong. I do believe that they're suspicious, but the Proudfoots are beat up too.
Sure.
They're getting beat up. Seth's getting beat up. It's terrible.
Extended family, even at this point, are looking like suspects and all that. So I'm sure that's difficult.
I don't know.
I'm sure that's difficult for them also, that they've got people starting to point the finger at them, saying that looks like their vehicle and all that kind of thing. Very stressful on the whole, like we were saying in the last show, when this happens, it doesn't just happen to Sebastian. It happens to a whole community. The neighbors are affected, the kids at school, the teachers, the parents, everyone. It's changed lives in very big ways.
People are saying that this audio is a spirit box.
Where did you see that?
Multiple people are saying this. It was my understanding it was a video audio. So if someone has that, we could be misinformed. So if someone has that, please email that link to us, because I guess we might have misunderstood.
I don't really.
Or is there two different things?
I don't know much about spirit boxes.
It's a fairly, controversial way of communicating, I guess.
Yeah. So some people are saying it's a spirit box, and we're saying it's a real audio.
So Seth has not fired him yet, per Terry Lynn.
Okay.
So that's just a rumor that's been going around, but we don't like to work with rumors. We like to work with facts.
If he doesn't get fired after that, nothing's going to get him fired,
right? Celestial Sky wants to know what 1202 is. Gosh, we try not to be crass.
Yeah,
it's the timestamp on the infamous TikTok Tony video
that was on Lady K. Is her YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and she's showing a panel with Tony from TikTok with 3 other people, and there is a moment at which it's a green screen that Tony's in front of, or they're showing a green screen. And unfortunately, there is some, how do you want to say it? There's an object that comes across the screen.
A body part.
That appears to be phallic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about as clean as I can make it. And it happens at the 12:02 mark on that particular video. And so that's why, and long story short, there was a creator who was watching it live, and off screen, we couldn't see what he was watching, but then it happened in his face, and it was funny. And then 12:02 just became something very crazy. And now, are you laughing about it?
I'm laughing about it.
So now 12:02 will never look the same to any of us. So
right.
But we're not going to show that on here.
No,
because
no,
that's not
gonna
our
do that.
audience. So.
We haven't talked much about TikTok Tony because we've kind of not wanted to be
Sharon's.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, I know.
Sharon, I can't post that up there, but that's a great comment.
We haven't wanted to get into like the more like outside stuff outside of the outside of the case. We've tried to focus more on the case than all the noise kind of thing, like Tony.
Do.
And so we haven't talked about him much at all.
We can see improve.
Yeah, right. Yeah, more about Sebastian and the people involved rather than these outside figures and things. But
I will say that was extremely entertaining.
It was very funny,
and I needed the laugh that I got from it.
Yes, and though he is kind of part of the story in that he is Seth's spokesperson, and it is hard to imagine a worse move that a PR guy can make than that, and still consider. I mean, you would think that would be a career ender for that type of mistake.
Well, he said someone did that to him. That's his stance, right?
But it was live.
He said it was like Photoshop.
How can he do it live? I mean, it was a live video.
No, I think he said Photoshop.
No, I thought he said that someone put a overlay on it.
Yes,
but it was live. How can you overlay it?
Well, the recording though on YouTube was not. That was a recording from TikTok, because once you do a TikTok live, it goes after it's over. It doesn't get saved. So that was his argument.
No.
No. Well, we'll look into this about the spirit box thing. But one of the things I had read when I was reading just a little bit about it online, because I hadn't seen the video, was that it seemed that the story was changing at one point. They said it was the audio from the Ring camera. Then somebody was saying about it being an audio from a microphone in the yard or something else like that.
I'm sorry. The comments are cracking me up.
I know.
Yes, it was live.
So maybe this is another change to that story about the audio. Maybe it's just another version. I don't know. But
maybe more will come out about the audio. But right now, we just really don't know if it's legitimate or not.
And Misty somewhere up here said that that she thinks that when it's cleaned up, it'll be very revealing about the truth, and maybe that'll be the case. That would be great. I know you're laughing.
I'm sorry. The comments are great. I'm sorry. You guys are really funny.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Tara and Rosie. You can hear flush the toilet.
Oh,
I like Tony's Only Scams channel.
Oh, stop. Olivia says, this is what got me. And made me start crying.
You're not missing much if you haven't.
Good one, Olivia. That's
you
a good
one.
That might be part of why he's denying the whole.
Oh, see, Olivia, you got me crying because I don't know why, but I just find that I know it's humiliating. And I feel sorry for him on a certain level, but on another level, a larger level, it's so funny.
It is.
Not that large.
Really funny.
Stop. We're not a crash channel. Stop.
Look at this. No.
Oh, wow. We're behind on some.
We're behind.
Yes. Lots of funny comments. We're
okay.
seeing them all. Yes.
Oh, this is a good one.
Guys, we're not going to be able to get through the show. Okay. Okay.
And the best he could come up with was the overlay.
It was an overlay.
Well,
he could have said anything else.
My favorite part is when the object appeared. He was talking about how he was about being above board.
Right.
He was like,
it was the timing.
Oh man. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
We will stop. I know that the majority of our audience does not like when we get crap.
Yes.
So
we're not gonna...
You guys, woo. Okay. So we were back to the spirit box, whether it's a spirit box or audio footage.
I don't think it was ever a spirit box.
Yeah. So several people are saying it's not a spirit box. So I get maybe somebody posted incorrectly about this one way or the other at some point. That I don't know. I hadn't read that or seen that before. Well, hopefully somebody that knows
Oh,
what they're
okay.
doing
That's
will
a
be able
good point.
to clean it up.
Could it be a different audio from someone else's camera that picked it
Yeah.
up? That's a good point.
That is a
Yeah.
good point. And that's what made me think that it possibly could have been legitimate, but really garbled, but was because it was from another area in another yard.
Okay.
That could be.
Misty also said that spirit boxes are robotic type voices, not actually human voices. I've never heard of spirit box, I don't think.
I have heard of them. I just don't know what they are. I've never just
Mimi said that she said it's not a spirit box. She just said it sounded like that kind of garbly type of audio.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Jennifer says, "Great channel, guys. You remind me of my family."
Go to Zoots and Boots here.
Aw, Jennifer Kelly.
Zoots and
I
Boots.
hope that you subscribe so you'll be back.
Zoots and Boots says it's not being presented as a spirit box. That is the pro Proudfoot's propaganda machine. That makes some sense if that's the case. I just that would be a good way to try to spin that, right? Okay. Maybe there is something to this audio.
Right. If they're going the other direction, then
because the way I always look at the Proudfoots is wherever they're pointing, we need to look the opposite way. So if they're upset about the audio, maybe there's something to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have to rethink that. Charlene Haggerty, oxygen and can't breathe from laughing. I know. I mean, we when that happened that night, we were just absolutely in tears. Let's see. Maui.
Sorry. I'm looking at
Maui Girl says Katie is mad at the world cares so much about Sebastian because she never did. Man, that's harsh, but there's probably some truth to that. Yeah. I mean, I bet a lot of thoughts go across her mind with I don't think they could have ever expected the outpouring of support for Sebastian that they got. Like we were saying before, if you know, when kids go missing, usually, you know, a couple of cops come out to the house and you have to fight to get an Amber Alert and all this kind of thing. And, you know, they give you the, oh, well, I'm sure he'll be back in a few days. These kids, they run away all the time kind of thing. And because it's sort of true with teenagers that most of the time they are a runaway that intend to come back. But I think because of the autism part, and we've seen it so often in this state, I'm sure other states also, but I've seen a lot of these where we'll have somebody with autism, you know, 10 miles down the road, lost, and they, you know, oftentimes they're found and brought back home safely, and sometimes they're not. And it's a fear for everybody that knows a kid with autism. And most of us at this point, unfortunately, have at least a friend or relative with autism. And so it caught everybody's heart, and it got all of our attention right away because it was it's so frightening.
And we're a smaller community too. Yeah.
And you know, we haven't had that kind of thing happen in this county before that I can recall. Well,
not to this extent, like this. No.
And so
we put up another Tennessee boy, but he was found almost within a day. That was autistic, and that's what I think everyone thought was going to happen in this case, but it's just gotten weirder by the day. And
okay.
They thought they'd be just living a normal life in a couple of weeks, I think is what they thought.
Exactly.
And they never would have dreamed that people like us would be still talking about this as our number one topic 4 months later, you know. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a few of us like doing this.
Hi, Michelle. Michelle says Nick Barris just posted in the last hour. There is no audio in the video.
Yeah.
But who made the point?
So I don't think it was his video. I think the video is separate. I think this audio is separate from that video completely. I don't think it was ever meant to be the same.
Let's see. Whoops. I keep hitting the wrong one. Sorry. It's sad. Misty says it's sad. We care about Sebastian when his own mother doesn't. Her actions will prove that. Actions prove that.
Yeah.
You have to, I mean, when you don't go to any vigils, you don't even go to the one in your own neighborhood that your neighbors are trying to have for you. You don't go out and plead to the public to help you find your child. You don't go search yourself other than to drive for 5 minutes to the high school and back.
We've discussed this, and I'm not sure. I think that if our son went missing, I would be all over the media and I'd be, out in front screaming for help, but I'm not sure I could search. And I'll tell you why. I think you could.
I would be searching.
But I don't think, well, number one, I would want somebody home at all times in case he came home.
I'd probably be trespassing.
Right.
Walking,
but
jumping over fences, walking into people's houses.
I don't think I could mentally handle the sight of finding my child in a
bad state.
In a bad state. I don't think that's something I could ever let go of if I were to see it. And I think that's what the police had suggested to the family, that they don't want them physically in the woods searching for that reason. That's why they won't volunteer searching.
Yeah, but you know what they could have done? They could have been going door to door and banging on doors all over that part of town.
And I would have been doing that.
And they could have been saying, "Hey, here's a picture of my kid. Have you seen him?"
Well, just like Riley Strain's mom was out begging the people of Nashville, "Please help me find my son. This is what he looks like. This is the kind of kid he is," and just giving all those details that make him a person that people care about, so that people will look. And she didn't do any of that.
No, according to Seth, they all just sat around the house with their in-laws planning their vacations.
Yeah, but know me, I wouldn't be able to let it go if I were to run across that.
Yeah,
it would be hard on me.
I understand.
And you would take that burden on. I would go door to door all day long because I could read people and tell if they're lying to me.
Yeah.
So I would do that all day long.
But that would be proactive. I mean, you would have been.
Well, that if you want to count that as searching, I guess in my mind, I think searching is going through the woods, right?
It is. I mean, that's a part, but
I know, but that's what I don't even think about the door to door.
In the first few days, that we still talk to people in this community that don't really know anything about Sebastian. So
yes, over the weekend.
Everybody that's here tonight,
You're
I'm
kidding.
sure. I'm sure 95% of us know this case backward and forward. Maybe some of you are a little new to it, but I bet most of us know timelines and most of the interviews and all that kind of thing. But there's a lot of folks that live around here that don't. They're like, "Oh, you mean that boy that went missing? Yeah, I kind of remember something about that." Like that's the depth of their knowledge a lot of times. And so
we spent the entire weekend with what?
Yeah, just local
10 or 12 local adults and families.
Yeah.
And you would be shocked how little they are aware of what's happening.
I blame our media as well. Why are they not reporting? I mean, granted, the media doesn't give you a lot of information, good information about anything, but why are they not reporting on this continually? Why are there not free billboards and free things for those kinds of things? I do believe he is now on a flyer at Walmarts throughout the United States.
Well, we went to Walmart in Wilson County over the weekend, and he was not there. And I pointed it out to Mr. E.
Supposedly,
which is the next county over.
Yeah, supposedly he has now been added, but I don't know if that's true. I heard that on another cast that he had been approved to be put on a flyer throughout Walmart.
We were there on Friday or Saturday, and he was not there. But Mr. E made a good point.
I'm not sure which point you're referring to, but one of the thoughts I have with these posters.
Because you make so many great points.
Well, no, I just don't. You set me up, and I don't always know which way.
Well, when we were in the store, I said, "Why is Sebastian's poster not up there?"
Okay.
And you said,
I probably said something like.
You said let's try to walk back in those footsteps.
I'm going to guess because I have this thought anytime I see them. I always think like, well, why isn't Sebastian there? But, is it fair to the other kids that are missing to not also have, why should it just be?
Should it be rotated?
There's lots of missing kids, and that Sebastian shouldn't really get priority over anyone else.
Maui
because
girl.
it's
Oh, I was actually looking at Truth
Is
Seeker.
that kind of what I
Well,
said?
my
Something
girl
like that?
says that they have a missing 11-year-old girl in her city now, and there's been no news coverage because she's Black, no news coverage, no online discussion. And she said that's what Katie wanted. And I do believe that. And I think Mr. East said that before. They just wanted it to be a missing child, and it kind of just wouldn't get swept under the rug when there's no evidence and finally just gets out of the public light. And it's what it's happened, really, is it's out of the public light now. And it takes these types of things in order to get people to still talk about it.
I think the racial factor is a thing.
Yes, there was a child in Texas that was Black with autism that I was.
That's the one I was talking about. He got found really quickly, though.
It was over a week, and I I became a top fan of the constable there. I got the top fan because I was wearing him out with questions. I'm like, did he have shoes on? Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I was asking him all kinds of stuff. I said, was this a custody situation? And I got a top fan badge, and I haven't decided whether or not I want to accept it because I was wearing him out. And he ended up deleting his post because I was asking so many hard questions.
Truth Seeker says, I live an hour south of Hendersonville. My local Walmart doesn't have his flyer up, but they have 14 others posted from around the country. Yeah, and I don't know how they make that determination. I mean, there's thousands. I think I was looking at statistics today. We have 800,000 or so kids go missing every year. And, how do you pick which, 14 or 15 you're going to have up on a wall? I don't know how they determine that, but it's not fair to, you can't put everybody. How do you determine what's the fair way? I don't know.
I will say, I believe Terry Lynn is responsible for those new signs we've been seeing that are really good. They're really good.
Yes, I heard she printed up several flyers and she put up some yard signs as well.
Well,
yeah, she got them up there on Gallatin Road, a lot of them,
which
is like the main drag all through, Hendersonville. And if you're around that area, if you see the ones that have the 3 pictures of Sebastian, kind of, it's like in the 3 sections. That's Terry Lynn.
Yeah,
and she did a good job. She got them in some good spots.
Yeah, and they look really good, and they're very striking. We noticed them right away.
Yeah, they actually kind of kept your attention better than the
old one. Yeah,
the original one, for whatever reason. Something about the layout.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
so I know this part too, Norma. Norma Fralin says law enforcement told them to stay at home in case he came back. But did they all have to be there?
Someone could have stayed.
Chris could have stayed back, and she searched, and she,
or vice versa.
And I think law enforcement tells me to stay. I'm leaving anyway. There's no way. I just couldn't. I don't think I could sit still.
I don't know what grandparents would leave town and go to Alaska when their grandson's missing a week later.
Yeah, and at the time, I just kind of wrote them off to just being like
vapid.
Yeah, just kind of like not great people, just kind of like clueless or out of touch.
Well, it wasn't, and I'll tell you, for me, and I'm being judgy here, I'll just be honest.
Sure.
Their Alaska trip didn't bother me as much as the pictures from their, like, was it Puerto Rico or Puerto Vallarta trip? Yeah. Where they've got like their hearts in the sand and the
pouty faces when they had to go home and all that.
Yeah,
right. Who does that?
I know.
People who don't care. That's who does it.
In the middle of the greatest family crisis they've ever had. That's what you do. It's weird. It's weird.
Unless it's not a crisis in your eyes.
To you.
I know. Yeah. That's
why. Or you just got away with. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
That was a joke.
Well, yeah, and well, of course, it's another thing you think is these are people, or at least I don't know how long the stepdad's been in the picture, but the mother did raise Chris. Right. Chris isn't great. So you have to imagine, that his.
Right. Well,
he also probably didn't come from just a great home life.
Good point. Good point, Tara Ann.
What mother and stepfather leave town too, in my opinion. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because they couldn't take the heat. There was a lot of heat.
Well,
that puppy thing's really awful.
Who sells their house, goes motorcycle shopping, and buys a new puppy?
Here, you lost your kid. You lost your kid. Here's a puppy. That's what you know what I mean? That's like what you do when a child loses a pet. You replace the pet with another pet to make them feel better.
Here's
That's
another
what that
good one.
feels like. It's
Did
gross.
they buy a new dog?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's gross.
Oh, that's wild. Oh, that's really weird. I didn't know that.
Gail says they don't have any pictures of Sebastian on their Facebook. They have faiths. Another of people didn't even know that they were his grandparents.
Well, I will say too, though, in their defense, and I try to look at everything from both sides. In their defense, this is his 5th wife.
True.
How are they? They may not be. Maybe the first wife they got attached to. Maybe the second. Do you know what I mean? So by the 5th one, maybe they're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall and for that marriage to break
We're
up.
just waiting for number 6.
Right.
But it's 7 or 8 years, right?
Well, yes, that's true. That's true.
A couple of years in, maybe you're a little standoffish, but
We've heard the rumors of the things that she's said about him too.
yes.
So,
Ooh, good, lots of good stuff.
oh,
Not nice.
how do we know that? Do we know that for sure,
Misty Fisher, the Bauer Sox took all their other grandkids to Disney except Sebastian. They said he was too much to deal with. That's
Well, they're wrong.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
guess they did not realize the benefits of having a child with autism at Disney World. I'm just joking. Have you heard that theory? There was a theory thrown out a long time ago on one of the other channels that someone had kidnapped Sebastian so they could take him to Disney World to get to the front of the line.
Yeah, because he had autism.
I think that's the wildest theory I've heard in this whole thing. Actually, was that one. But that person was dead serious.
Dead serious. They were dead serious, and I couldn't believe it.
See, Abrian, I think Sebastian is in Mississippi. I think Katie took him to someone in CP's family who took him to Chris, just my opinion. Yeah, there are some indicators. There are things that they have said that suggest that he might still be coming back one day. Because they say, Chris has said a few things like, oh, if we had enough money, he'd be back. We'd have him by now. One day when he comes
Chris
back.
Say that or Seth?
Chris said something along those lines once, but he said a few things that have made you think that one day Sebastian would return that were weird. But was it him playing games? Was it I don't know. But
one of them said he was going to walk through the door.
Yeah, yes, Chris said that like that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's done that a few times, and so if you're kind of being hopeful, those kind of statements might be the kind of thing you look at. I hope so, man. I hope. I played through the idea of those flashlights, wondering could one of those flashlights been Sebastian, like Katie walking him to the fence, giving him some story, like, you got to get out of town. I can't talk to you about it now. You got to leave. Go to the car. It's waiting for you. And he goes, to the car and they leave. I've tried to imagine, is that kind of scenario possible where he's still alive that way? It was him with a flashlight and not an adult taking him.
I'm trying
but of course,
to
then the shoe thing is where the comes in. But
I was trying to see. There's something going on in the chat.
Oh, they're asking if Chris has siblings.
No, it's before that.
I think Chris has a sister.
Oh, they're referring to the Disney World thing, right?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Oh, okay. I didn't want people to think I was being offensive. I was making fun of that guy saying that he was kidnapped to go to Disney World.
No, I think
Sorry.
If that's true, I had not heard that before. Well, regardless, they, if they did have great love for this child, it's nothing that's been visible to us.
No,
the way they acted.
I actually looked at their Facebook, or the grandmother's Facebook, like 2 days, or no, not 2 days. Sorry. I looked at it after I found out the last name and did my research, but it was dated 2 days after he went missing that she was in there talking about going to Alaska and how excited she was on a post, but no post about him being missing at all.
No, be on the lookout for my grandchild kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got to let him out. I'm sorry.
That's awful.
Excuse me for
Yeah.
a minute. I got to let the dog out.
Basically, the chat is in the we're horrified that if he was left out on something like that. Yeah. It's and none of it's this kid's fault. You know, even in behaviors he developed. I mean, his whole life he was seems to have been abused in some form or fashion since he was at least 5 years old. You know, with all these CPS reports, more than we can even count or at this point.
Well, I am embarrassed. Said Chris said within minutes that the North Carolina kid wasn't him, and that was odd. Well, I also found it odd that Katie wanted people to think it was. She said, "Oh, she thought it was him," and then Chris said, "No, it wasn't him." Seth thought possibly it was, and I think he even went there. But I thought that whole incident was really strange. And the fact that she said that she thought it was him, and then Chris said no, he didn't think it was him almost immediately.
Yes, and I deleted the post pretty quickly after that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Katie probably, you know, knew it wasn't him, but I think she strikes me as just generally smarter than Chris. So I think she might have been aware to say, kind of play the game, say, oh, well, maybe that's him, you know. And Chris is he's kind of like a know-it-all type. Like he's a I gotta be right kind of guy. He's got to set people straight all the time, you know. So I think probably in the moment he couldn't resist going, that's not him, because he did know it wasn't.
Right.
But you know, even, I mean, we all studied that picture of that kid, and even, you know, I couldn't say it wasn't him. You know,
it was very, very striking. And then the shoes matched a pair of shoes that he had a picture in, and they looked, I mean, they were identical. So I could see where anybody would just say, yeah, that can look like him. But there's a lot of boys that look similar to him. He, you know.
Yeah.
And it's I embarrass as he makes it all crystal clear.
It does make it. I'll never hear that phrase again without thinking of him. Yeah, I don't know. So, you know, we have kind of started out the night talking about, you know, with the general theme being, do we think this case is going cold, or we think they're coming on indictments? Do we think there's going to be some kind of justice or movement here in the next couple of months? I think that the three of us, we're kind of we think this thing's going cold right now.
Yeah.
But we'll still follow the case. What I don't want to do over time, I don't want to, we don't want to waste anyone's time unless we feel like we have something to add, new information, new perspectives. Like if we want to go do the camera angles, like at the, you know, Worshams and that storage building and the school, do things like that where we think we might be adding some value. We're going to, I mean, I'll follow this case until it's resolved. You know, if we're no longer on YouTube or whatever, however long it takes, we'll be interested in this story and case. And we're borderline obsessed with it, to be honest. So, in that sense, we'll always follow it. And any news that breaks, of course, we'll jump right on it. Maybe there will be another Bobby out there that has a new story, or another leaked video. We don't know. Maybe this audio will turn out to be legitimate. Somebody will clean it up, and we'll be able to hear better what was going on there. I don't know, but we won't just come on, you know, week after week, just, you know, talking about this case if we don't feel like we have some value to add or an interesting angle to talk about. That's kind of the way we were looking at that. But so we will be doing some other cases. We've got several that we've kind of talked about, a few of them tonight that we're very interested in, and we think deserve some attention. And our dogs are back to annoy people in the.
Shirley said, thank goodness your channel has people with a little more intelligence than some of the other channels covering Sebastian's disappearance. I've heard some crazy theories, and we have too. We've heard some really crazy stuff and some crazy angles. And, you know, that's not what we're into. We're into logically thinking through this and thinking how this could have happened. And and trying to come up with some solutions based on the information and the intel that we have.
I'll tell you the crazy theory I read today that we can debunk today. There was a theory that Sebastian never existed. That he just.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there was a theory I was reading on one of the Facebook groups today that he just didn't exist. There was no evidence that he existed. And we live in the community. We have friends that are teachers at the school. I can confirm with 100% certainty that Sebastian actually exists. So we can at least. But they're right. There's crazy theories that you hear out there.
Our child has had the same teachers
that
Sebastian has had.
We know for a fact that Sebastian
does exist.
Was a real child.
Yes, but they were trying to make the point, that no one ever saw him outside of the home, and kids didn't know him on the school bus, and that was part of the angle on the theory. But yes, people come up with some wild stuff.
Did I miss you rewrapping it up?
No, I was.
CP says only negative things about Sebastian, but strangely, he gives him credit for leaving without leaving evidence. That was a really odd statement. I remember him saying that.
I also saw this from Maui Girl did you guys address this?
No.
This is good.
I think Katie deleted him in that home. I don't think she gave him to anyone because no one on CP's side would want him.
I think I misunderstood with that.
That's what I think too. I don't want that to be true, but that's what I think.
My thing
that's the last thing we wanted.
Yeah.
My thing though is if that happened, where's in the evidence? I just don't think that there would be no evidence, or has law enforcement not found that evidence? There has to be evidence somewhere.
Well, Sebastian is somewhere.
Yes.
And where Sebastian did not do it alone. He could not have. We've gone over we've done this. We know he didn't just leave on his own. Somewhere, somehow, alive or not, someone transported Sebastian. So that being the case, there has to be some evidence. It's just a matter of figuring out which vehicle and when and exactly which person. We've got some suspects. Could it be that car at the end of the neighborhood? Could it be Katie's vehicle that morning leaving on her search for beach while she's gone for a half hour? Is there another possibility outside of that? So it's tough, but somewhere there is evidence. It's just a matter of getting it. Misty Fisher, funny how Chris stated that if someone came to their front door, the camera would pick them up, but yet camera didn't pick up Sebastian walking out. Chris is stupid because that's his that's just dumb to say. Yes, so that goes back to them being sloppy and more hope that they're going to get caught because he has made a bunch of big mistakes and statements. They probably shouldn't have ever gone into the whole he must have walked out the front door thing. That was probably a mistake. They should have just said, we don't know what happened. But they were trying to direct everyone away from the truth, which was likely that.
But we all know the biggest mistake.
We do know the biggest mistake.
We know the biggest mistake.
The biggest mistake was the shoes.
The shoes.
Anytime that there's an argument about could he have walked out?
Right.
Could he have, met someone? Mr. E always comes back to the shoes. Always to the shoes.
I did it to myself a minute ago when I was giving the idea of where I want to be hopeful. Like what if Katie handed Sebastian a flashlight at 3:30 and said, we need to get you out of town. You're in danger, whatever she told him. And it was his flashlight going across that lawn to the car that drove him away. And maybe he's in hiding somewhere for some unfathomable reason. But then I got to remember the shoes. And I contradict myself trying to come up with these kind of potential happy ending stories, but the shoes always make it extremely unlikely. Yeah. But yes, Gigi Dillagaff says they wanted to plant the narrative. Yes.
Right. That's exactly right.
In that way, they were really good because we certainly bought it. It seems like law enforcement bought it. They bought themselves at least a couple of days of not being under the microscope, and those were critical.
I am Baird disagrees with you.
There's actually no mistakes yet because there is no evidence nor charges. There's some evidence. There is evidence. We've got the flashlight evidence. We've got the car evidence caught on that camera.
I mean, it's
We've got
clear.
their contradictory statements. We've got the shoes not being gone. It may not be enough evidence to convict, but it is evidence, and it's adding up.
And the contradiction.
It will all be used. All that evidence, if they ever actually go to trial, it will be used against them. They just
in a
probably
court of law.
It'll be used. In a court of law.
Are you doing Judge Judy?
No, yeah. It was Judy.
But so no, and there's likely. I mean, we probably only know 10% maybe of the evidence they've gathered that could be useful. Who knows what's on all those devices? Were they dumb enough to look up like how to hide a body on the internet, things like that?
It's like the Karen Reed trial. What was it they looked up on the phone?
I don't. How long can you survive in the snow before dying from hypothermia? Something like that. Yeah, people make mistakes like that. Maybe somebody sent a dumb text at the wrong time, saying the wrong thing. Maybe there was a phone call that happened at the wrong time, or a cell phone has we just don't know. We don't know what's on those phones. And phones are, it's the world of Big Brother, and everything's recorded.
There's a few things
I'm sure they made other mistakes
that we don't know about that I would like to know. I'd like to know the camera footage from the Bowersox neighborhood. I would like to know if there were any phone calls to Mama Bowersox during that time.
Yes, absolutely.
That would be important.
I want to know about the Bowersox call history too.
And I do find it very odd that when I looked up and found their address information that they moved in April. I thought that was weird.
I'll tell you the one if there's one thing I could see right now as far as evidence goes, I would love to see what the interrogations looked like. Like the video like when
we may never see that.
I know we won't ever see it unless they go to trial. But man, I would love to see, because those stories weren't their stories were, because when they talked to Duchess, that was a week later, so they'd already been interrogated probably 3 or 4 or 5 times, and their story still wasn't cohesive and making any sense. They had to change it, over the next week or so with the different interviews. So how bad that story probably was when they first told it to police. It probably didn't make any sense. They had to adapt as they went, because they didn't have it straight. They didn't have a story that made sense.
I agree with KC here. I feel like the flashlight was a narrative they were trying to.
That's a good point.
That's good. I like that, Casey. I like that.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that, but they did definitely stress that flashlight, and that's a good cover.
At first. But you really haven't heard a lot about the flashlight since.
But they did. They knew.
Yeah.
They had to know they would have known they used a flashlight.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case somebody saw that flashlight. I agree with Maui Girl too.
Who notices a flashlight missing in your home? That's the last thing I would notice if my kid was missing. Yeah.
It's my understanding, though, that they said it was something he played with all the time.
Like a fidget.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
but again, could they have been planning a narrative in our minds so that if the flashlight video came out, they would say, oh, that must have been him leaving.
Yeah. I don't know that did Seth ever confirm that it was like maybe something he liked to play with, but was it like it goes with me everywhere kind of item? Like a favorite, or was it just something he owned?
I don't think I've ever heard Seth speak on that.
I haven't heard that either. I know this.
I've heard Katie say it. I've heard Katie say that it was like a small flashlight, like a fidget.
Yeah, but how much was it? I don't know. It is weird that they noticed that, unless it was like his favorite item. Right. I can't imagine noticing a flashlight being gone.
There was another one up here that I liked. I don't see it. Okay, no big deal.
There, Zoots and Boots says, do all Tennessee agencies wear the same body cam type of equipment to record interactions? Like, will sheriffs have body cam like police might? I am not sure about that. You guys might know better than me what they do around there, but
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know if I've ever had interactions with any of the sheriff's department ever.
And,
I've had city police, but not.
Right.
Mrs. E, can you clarify on that?
No, not the Proudfoot. Sorry. The Bowersocks, when I was researching their address earlier this week, it appears that the Bowersocks, grandma and grandpa moved in April, changed their address in April of this year. But I mean, it appears that their address changed.
Yeah, Hershey. There was a rumor that the Proudfoots were going to move at the beginning of June, and then that didn't happen. And we were talking about that one of the last couple of shows we did, and after hearing Bobby speak, we kind of dawned on all of us that it might be impossible for them to sell that home and move anytime soon, because you have an open house, and every reporter and YouTuber and curiosity seeker is going to want to go in there and record, and you won't be able to tell the real buyers from not. And then there's going to be a lot of people that, like, real interested buyers that won't be interested in owning that home right now because it's under such scrutiny.
I have a different theory.
Okay.
I think that it is possible. This is a theory. This is a speculation, but there's all kinds of companies that will buy your home sight unseen.
Yeah.
And I think that is possible that could happen.
You're not making,
like We Buy Any Home or whatever they're called.
Yeah, but you're going to take a loss. We're not a loss, but you're not going to get like top rate.
But let's just speculation wise, let's say that your child was unalived in that house.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to live there.
You wouldn't want to live there and look at that every day. That's kind of what I thought Maui Girl was saying, that she deleted. I was thinking that maybe, she was just kind of trying to compartmentalize that and just forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was imagining like how many people would be going through that home, oh yes, I'm interested in buying, and they've got hidden cameras on their shirts or whatever, and just streaming the whole. Are
you trying to figure out what you would do?
I know that's what we would. Well, we can't now.
We wouldn't
People
stream
would know
it.
who we are.
We wouldn't stream
it, but no, we wouldn't be able to do that. But I'm sure people would. I'm sure lots of people would.
Oh, Karen, said it was in a drawer next to his bed, and that was one of the things. So his glasses were missing, his flashlight was missing, and his shoes were there.
And the shoes were there.
And those 3 shirts that bother you.
The 3 black shirts.
The 3 black shirts that bother him like crazy.
That I do think is still it's a part of the story in some way. That maybe we'll find out one day.
Oh, the Real Me Too says, said it was a tiny light and had no batteries. Katie said it was a comfort item. So that's kind of that's the way I understood it too. But it does make you think, why?
Odd, yeah.
Why would they mention that? Why would that be something that they would mention?
Okay, here's another. Okay, so here's a question about it. Let's say he was unalived in the home.
Okay.
Why would you get rid of the flashlight also? Why does the flashlight go with him, however you transport him? Why wouldn't you just leave the flashlight?
Could it have been in a pocket and not known?
Maybe they didn't realize it until he was gone. It was in his pocket, or maybe he keeps it hooked.
Who knows?
Maybe they made it up.
Well, Seth said that it existed. So
okay.
But why would you make that disappear
along
with him?
To make it seem like he left.
But not his shoes.
Not the shoes.
Well,
it is kind of weird.
If you're creating a narrative when you're trying to say that someone has left, they would take their comfort item. But again, making a mistake, forgot the shoes.
And like they would, maybe. And he probably didn't. I mean, his glasses would be part of that too.
Right.
For staging, you would make those go because you wouldn't imagine him leaving without his glasses, and then they just forgot the shoes. Just in the, I'm sure even if you're cold-blooded, you're panicking somewhat and you're not thinking clearly in a moment like that. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
My thing is, why did they even say if they did it though? Why didn't they just say he left in another pair of shoes? We don't know which ones it was. I mean, that would be easy for a parent to say.
Okay.
Okay, you want to go for it?
I know.
You do it. You do it.
All right. So, where are his shoes? Are they all accounted for? I'm asking you as the parent. Pretend you're the parent here.
I'm not sure. He had so many pairs.
Well, we only see 3 here at the front of the door. So you're saying he has more than 3 pairs of shoes?
Yes, he does.
Okay. So what pair of shoes is missing?
His Crocs.
Okay, the Crocs. Where did you buy those Crocs?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a couple years. We bought them when they were on sale and they were too big. So we were.
I thought you said he had gone through a growth spurt and had outgrown all of his shoes.
He had. We bought them when they were on sale, and they were too big. We knew he would grow into them someday. So
and you don't remember which store you bought them at?
I don't remember. It's been a couple years.
Do you think you would have paid for that with your credit card?
I doubt it. I only deal in cash.
Only deal in cash. That's interesting that you only deal in cash. But you see, like,
yeah, right. I get it.
You start to get tripped up, when you create a story, and then it's like, well, are there ever any family photos of him in these Crocs? Or, there'd be a whole thing where it'd be very difficult to prove fake shoes that you've owned for 2,
I think you missed your calling. You should have been an interrogator.
Look what Linda says.
What did Linda say? Oh, I like this. Okay.
Maybe we should do fake interrogations. Maybe that would be fun to see, how these things go. But so instead, Katie, and like I said, I think Katie is the smartest of the 3 parents. I think when she realized that they messed up on the shoes, she goes, yes, they're all accounted for. Because she knew if she made the mistake of saying, no, there's another pair of shoes, that she would have gotten caught. Because at some point there's a paper trail, a camera at a store. There's no history of the shoes. Chris can't confirm that he owns the shoe. Like if you're being interrogated separately, then when they go talk to Chris and Seth, they got to say, is there a pair of Crocs that this kid owned? She realized the only way was to tell the truth and just eat it on the mistake with the shoes. That's what I think happened.
Hold on a second.
Which was the smarter play. Of course, it would have been smarter to have remembered to take a pair of shoes with him.
Right.
But I think that's what she did in the moment. That's why I think she's still the smartest. She's talked the least. She's incriminated herself the least. And for the most part, the general public has pointed their finger more at Chris and Seth than Katie in a lot of ways. And Katie is the prime suspect because she was the last one with them.
Yeah, she's definitely been the smartest through all this.
Yeah, she's played it the smartest. And Chris and Seth have gathered all kinds of hate.
Sorry.
And Seth is very, very likely completely innocent. But he still has a lot of detractors.
I noticed a lot of times when they're interviewed, too, she has always got something to say in the background. She's like, she murmurs to Chris in the background. So a lot of people think Chris is the bully and Chris is the one that is kind of stifles her. I think she's a whole lot smarter than anyone's giving her credit for. And I know that she kind of you can kind of hear her feeding him things to say when people are asking him questions.
Yeah.
Well, in her defense, I do that when he's on the phone too. When he's on the phone, I'm always like unhappy with his answers and responses, and I am trying to tell him what to say. So,
well, that's all I have on my notes of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight.
I think one of the things we wanted to ask, and I don't know how to do polls, so you guys have to forgive me. One of the things I wanted to ask is going forward, like Mr. E was saying, that we're going to try to start covering some other cases and things. And are there, or have you already asked this?
No,
I haven't.
Okay. Sorry, distracted by dogs. Are there any other cases that you guys would be interested in having us look into? We have talked about doing Caleb Harris. We have talked about doing some other. Aunt E had an idea that we're going to not talk about, but it might be an interesting idea about about a week. The person's been missing about a week.
But she was also missing 2 years ago.
Yeah. We're gonna look into this.
Yeah, there's something
Yeah.
interesting about that.
There's something interesting
There's
about
some
that.
bizarre things surrounding her, so we might look into that if there's something to talk about.
We need to research it more to make sure it's not somebody who runs away from home a lot.
Well, but also 2 other people in that town, two other females also have disappeared over the last few years in the same town.
Yeah, that's
In
what's
Tennessee.
interesting.
In Tennessee.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to read this one. Katie is a drunk, a terrible liar, and I think she is as violent as. Oh, there was another comment she made. I wanted to read to you. Before that, this is the one I really. Chris won't let her talk because when she does speak, she's a terrible liar, in my opinion. Yes, but she's a terrible liar. She's not good at it at all, and I think she recognized it too. Like I think she knows she's not good at it. So I think that's some self-awareness on her part that she needed to not put herself in those positions.
This is a
oh,
good
sorry.
one.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Hold on.
This one, we all see Katie get very shook when she was on the interview and Chris coughed to try to get her back on track. The interview that she made the motion to her neck. That's the one that Mrs. Z and I were talking about earlier, where you can, that interview, and that might be a good one to review if we're going to review something.
Yeah.
That interview was pretty good. And the motions and stuff that she did in that interview were very telling.
Yeah, that's one we haven't done, man. That throat thing is just crazy.
Weird gestures.
Yeah. And that was an interesting interview.
I'm going to write that one down, Maui girl. Ariana Tillman. I'll write that one down.
We're not, even though we're looking at trying to do some other stories. I know at some point we're going to do the Caleb Harris because it's just one that is interesting to us. We may not spend like the amount of time that we do on Sebastian. Unless there seems to be, but we're kind of thinking we might give that an episode or whatever we call this, a stream.
Yeah, we're not good. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would call it episodes. I think of it like television or something. Yeah. So my girl's got it. This is the quote. And by then he was already. Yeah, that's what she was saying. It was chilling. It was really chilling.
And
that was.
Can I tell one of my theories?
See the truth breaking through for just a moment with her,
One of my thoughts that I had is that a lot of people take medicine to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And is it possible that Katie took some medicine to sleep and slept through someone else
taking care of the problem,
taking care of the situation? Yeah.
So
that she could go ahead.
No, it was your thought. It was a great idea.
That she could claim ignorance and pass the polygraph test.
Yeah, like you said, like an Ambien or something like
that. Like an Ambien or something like that, where you're completely knocked out. And they said, Seth has said on multiple occasions that she's a pretty heavy sleeper anyway.
Yeah.
So that was a thought that was one of the theories. I mean, I've had about 1,000. I'm sure everybody in this chat has had about 1,000 different theories on what's happened.
Oh yeah. So many feasible ones. Like they're,
The rocking also, I see Casey's mentioning the rocking. The rocking really bothered me the first time I saw it.
Yes.
Because it did seem like she was in some type of trauma, but I don't think it was the trauma of him missing.
Right.
Looking back on it now, at the time, I thought it seemed fake at the time because I was like, ooh, that seems really strange. But looking back on it now, I kind of feel like that maybe she was going through some type of trauma, but not the trauma we were supposed to believe she was going through. Almost like, regret.
Right.
This is a good point. She was enlisted. They sleep very lightly. And that's true. Moms sleep lightly, and they do. Moms are kind of trained to sleep lightly, especially if you've had a child that's had some sort of special needs. You don't sleep as well, just knowing that could be an issue.
I would say that dads with special needs kids, though, do not sleep lightly, at least in my experience. In fact, they can fall asleep before their head hits the pillow, in my experience.
Yes.
I'm just joking.
And Linda S., you said they still haven't found Elijah. I think he may have been unalived. Does anybody know who Elijah is? That's one we could look up.
I did have something I had been.
That's
thinking.
a good point. Sorry. That's
Oh,
a
go
really
ahead.
good point. Jen Soto did do that. She is
Oh, yeah.
right. And there's so many
good point.
similarities. There's so many similarities with a lot of these other
And I, yes, there
cases.
are. There's a lot of similarities with Summer Wells. There's a lot of similarities with Caleb Harris. The Soto story that happened like on the same day that Sebastian went missing. There's some similarities to all of this. So the rocking thing. This is one of the things I had thought about. That was if that had happened to me, would I still be like rocking to suit myself weeks later? Or 8 days, 9 days, would I still be in that kind of like place,
And the interviewer in which she did that with is Holly Thompson. And we've known Holly Thompson for what? Probably
a long time.
Oh, well, I've known her probably longer than you. And she's interviewed Mr. E before and me. We've both been on her show. You've been on her show 2 or 3 times, and I've been on her show at least once. And I knew her from my former career. And she's like the most kind, put you at ease,
right
type of person.
Absolutely.
That you would not be. And I hate this type of thing. It's better being, just the two of us, but being on it like in a studio, I hate that type of thing. And she put me at ease to where I could answer questions and things like that. Yeah. So she's a very kind, gentle person. So the fact that Katie was rocking and freaking out in that interview kind of stood out to me because we know the person.
Yeah, she would have been very warm and not disarming.
And she's just a wonderful person all around.
But before we go, there was one other thought I'd had about that I forgot to mention earlier, that I haven't said on the show before. But I think part of their strategy earlier on, assuming that they were involved, which I think is the case, but we'll see. I think they knowingly kind of played up the severity of Sebastian's autism beyond how severe it was, because they started to figure out, they may not have known at first, but after a day or two, I think they figured out that it was a great cover, the autism, for a reason why Sebastian might wander off, because it is such a common thing. And they leaned into it because as we've learned over the last few months, Sebastian's autism was very, very mild. One of his teachers, we were watching an interview with one of that we know.
Well, yes, that we know really well.
That has worked with autistic kids for years. She stressed
all three of
how she was like, he's very, 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 very high functioning. Like she was saying it that way.
That you wouldn't know.
And when they say it, that what they're saying is there's no reason this kid can't be mainstreamed in the classroom. Like you may not even know they have autism unless you saw their diagnosis. Like they're so borderline that they can function in a typical classroom with and that kind of thing. And he was in a typical classroom. He didn't ride the special needs bus. He rode a typical kid's bus. But at first, the way Katie described him and Chris described him, with the pull-ups and all these kinds of things, it seemed like he was much lower functioning. So I think that was part of them manipulating all of us and the media early on. And it was successful, I think, at first.
Thank you, Kristen. I just wanted to tell Kristen J. thank you. She said she enjoys our channel.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
And Misty, I've been writing down names that you guys have mentioned. I've got Ariane Tillman in Chicago, Noah Pesgrove, Elijah View, and from Two Rivers, Wisconsin, and Reagan and Braxton Hancock. I've got all of those on our list to start looking at some to discuss. So I am getting those out of the chat.
The Elijah View, definitely. Yes.
So Anissa Mackle, Mr. E, if you had just committed the ultimate act of betrayal, you could still be rocking, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Thanks, I Am Bear.
Calm, intelligent conversation, host and chat are so refreshing. Thank you. Yeah, the chat's making the show for us. I mean, it's so. We've got a great group. I've seen other shows and YouTube channels, and they don't have whatever reason we've kind of found a place together. They don't have the people that we're getting. You know what I mean? Not to disparage anyone, but we've got a very bright audience. This. So
he's saying you guys are smart.
I am, but I'm trying also not to insult other channels.
Well, I mean,
we have a very bright.
There are a lot of people that are here in our chat that I see on other channels.
Yeah.
More, you don't really do that stuff. I'm the person. If you guys see Mr. E Crimecast in the chat, it's going to be me.
Yes, this Mrs. E. It's not.
He's usually getting me coffee somewhere.
Right, something like
when
that.
I'm up in the morning.
We have our roles.
I'm getting in quite the habit of being on certain people's streams in the morning, drinking coffee with them.
I want to read Misty Fisher's suggestion. I want to write this down before I lose it. You want us to look up
the Reagan Braxlin
Hancock
case?
Yes, I've written them all down.
Have either of you heard of this one?
No.
Mm-mm. She said the evil being who took Reagan's life after she cut her unborn baby Braxlin out of her womb was sentenced to death in Texas.
Okay.
That was her follow up to that one.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So the woman, I guess, is being sentenced to death.
What?
Alienation.
Okay, sorry. We're going to read this. I'm trying to understand.
Alienation of autistic people does happen. Restraint therapy deaths are more frequently being recognized in controversial areas of treatment. Some people even think it can be prayed away.
Huh.
Yeah, I have heard of that.
I will tell
praying away I have heard of before.
Well,
I didn't know that restraint treatment was on the rise.
It's a type of therapy.
Well, I will tell you, remember when we started ABA therapy? Okay. We had one therapist.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
When our son was very little, we had started ABA therapy, and they sent a therapist to our home that was not trained well.
Yeah.
And ABA is a great therapy. I just want to say that it really helped our son speak. But they sent a therapist who did not understand what she was supposed to be doing exactly. And she actually restrained him.
Yeah,
I cried the entire time because I thought that she knew what she was doing, but it turns out she shouldn't have been doing that at all.
Right.
And she was trying to restrain him. And finally, we just had her stop. We were just like, this is not working. You've got to stop this. But we were told by this therapist, who was supposed to have been thoroughly trained and sent to us by a very reputable therapy place, that that she knew what she was doing, tried to restrain him. So I do know that there are therapists out there that do that. And I'll tell you too, in our experience, believe it or not, there are therapists out there that just, even though they're in the field of trying to help these kids, they are really out there to hurt them. And we've caught multiple people hurting our child in physical ways, not like a sexual way, but taking advantage of the fact that he couldn't talk. Yeah. So you have to be very diligent as a parent of a child with autism.
I am to bear once, I guess, give him a brief explanation of what ABA means.
Sure.
The core of it is basically positive reinforcement and ignore the negative. So like if a way you would be trained as a parent would be that if your child were having a meltdown because he wanted a cookie and was like just having a huge meltdown tantrum or whatever it was, you would ignore it. You wouldn't acknowledge it. You wouldn't look him in the eye. You wouldn't do anything. You would just go on about whatever you're doing until the child acted appropriately and said cookie, or pointed at the cookie, or calmed down enough to add, in some way that was even remotely appropriate, even if it was just pointing. Then you would go, wow, you did a great job asking for that cookie.
I mean, over the top, like,
high five, buddy, tickles, whatever.
Anything you could do to show the child that
you overreact in response to the positive, and you completely. ignore the negative. And it is kind of hard because, you know, when a kid's having a meltdown, you need to stop, you know, you want them to stop. But it actually, for some reason, most the kids with autism, they just know they're getting your attention. So when if they rip their shirt because they're having a tantrum, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just ripped your shirt. They just know they got your attention. So next time they'll rip their shirt again.
Right.
Because they know it worked, that you got acknowledgement or whatever. So you have to ignore the bad or redirect. And so anyway, that's the core of the idea of it. And then they have their methods that they use, like
I don't think that Sebastian was severe enough that they were using ABA therapy.
Seth said he was getting ABA therapy, that he was
that's what he was going to be getting at home while he was doing homeschool. I get something had escalated with his behaviors that they were going to have to do this. So it does. Someone says off topic. It might be a little off topic, but it was directly related to Sebastian as well, because, you know, at some point they were going to, he had to move to Seth's house, and that's what was going to happen. And he was going to have ABA therapy along with homeschooling, or not homeschooling, but remote schooling, while he received this therapy for some reason.
And I will say it's a super effective when it's done properly. ABA is extremely effective. Our son went from, we were told he would probably not speak at all, other than maybe grunting or one or two words, commands.
Yeah.
And he is, you know.
Yeah, he's able to speak in sentences and tell you what he wants.
Express himself. I mean, he's still, you know, he's much more severe than Sebastian.
Oh yeah.
But
certain concepts are hard for him to understand. Imaginative kinds of things that are not solid in this world are harder for him to grasp.
Right.
You know, concepts, but certain types of humor and things like that are hard for him. But
that was another thing too. I was listening to Bullhorn Betty today, and they were talking about his medicines. And one medicine that Seth had mentioned that he was on was the how do I say it? Guancifene.
I think it's one.
And as we know from our experience, that made our son extremely sleepy, and he could not he didn't function well at school because
he'd want to nap at school and things like that, you know.
And then also someone mentioned in that chat today too that Seth had also mentioned clonidine, which is another drug that we've taken our son off of. We are slowly trying to wean him from all of these, being dependent on any of these medicines. We actually treated him holistically until he was about 12. And then we, because of behavior, we didn't really have a choice. We had to do a pharmaceutical route for a bit, but we did that, you know, through puberty, because he does, he did regress. But now we are
trying to see if we can get him off.
Yes.
All of it if possible.
Do you think, though, that could be some of what they're dealing with, or were dealing with Sebastian, was a puberty aspect, and there were behaviors that were out of control, which was causing him to need to go stay with his dad and to get more intensive therapy?
Yes.
Everybody I know that's had a teen autistic boy, it's a big issue, you know. Just a difficult, I mean, it's difficult anyway for boys, and special needs. Yeah. It's tough. It's just something people don't talk about, you know, but it's a tough time for kids with especially I think the boys with autism.
Now, Seth did mention that somewhere, and forgive me for not remembering, that he thought he might have been overdosed with melatonin. And melatonin is a supplement that you can't overdose on. And I'll tell you the reason I know that is because that was a supplement we used to give our son to sleep. And one of our younger children accidentally drank it, and I called poison control myself. Well, here's the funnier part of the story. So my youngest, who was probably 18 months at the time, drank it. And
I grabbed it off the counter.
After I was making it. I turned my back, grabbed it, drank it, because it was just a tiny bit. And then I turned my back, called poison control. devastated. Felt like the worst mother in the whole world for letting my 18-month-old get a hold of this melatonin. Poison control assured me that it was fine, that the baby would probably sleep, no problem. Don't worry about it. So I felt calmer, got myself calmed down, made another glass of melatonin for our son, and turned my back. And the 18-month-old got it again. Got it the second time. And so then I called poison control, crying as a complete failure of a mother that my 18-month-old got 2 doses of melatonin.
She had called me in between each one of these two because I was out of town or something. I'm not sure where I was. And she's like, she's crying and upset at the first one. And then 20 minutes later.
I think I was talking to you when it happened.
Later we're talking and she's like, she drank it again. She's bawling, crying, just, I can't believe. I'm like, what do you mean she drank it again? She drank the second one.
There must have been some pretty good melatonin.
It was mixed with rice milk, I think.
Yeah, we would mix it with rice milk. So
it's just like a vitamin. Their body flushes what they don't need. So,
right.
Yeah. You didn't call me for some reason.
I was devastated. I don't think I've ever told you that story.
No, I didn't know that.
He laughed until he cried because, I called poison control back to back.
Yes.
And so,
what if she got a double dose,
I think this is good. Zoots and Boots says finding balance is a fluctuating process. Good and bad is found through the experience. Life is not easy. Compliments to you. And it is hard trying to take your kid off of medications and on medications for, that balance is hard in a family and knowing what's right for your child. So it's not easy at all. It is not.
Yeah, everybody's just got to do what they think. And we really didn't want to do medicine. We just felt like we had to, at least through those puberty years with what was going on. And
there's a good one.
Brian and Jill say, our small dog ate an entire bottle of them, slept great all day. Okay, so dogs are okay too. So dogs are safe if they get too much melatonin. So we're having a little science lesson here tonight. We're learning. But yeah, so anyway, that goes back to Seth thought that he said that he thought that might be
what she overdosed
him with, and he, let's see. Brian and Jill say, hi, I've been watching for an hour. Finally subbed. Like others, I'd wash my hands of the YouTube drama around this case. Thank you for being here. It's Jill, by the way.
Hi, okay, Jill.
So, thank you, Jill. We we that is something that we didn't. When we decided to start a channel like this, talking about true crime and especially the Sebastian Rogers story, we just couldn't find a place online for people like us that wanted to have these kind of conversations. And so that was part of the thinking. And we didn't want to get into the pettiness and that kind of thing.
The creators fighting.
Yeah. We're going to do our best to avoid any of that kind of thing because it's just not.
It's not us.
It's not us. It's just not. I don't think it's interesting to other people. It's not interesting to us. So we're going to try to avoid as much of that as possible. Sometimes, the YouTubers become part of the story to a certain extent, and you do have to cover it. But we're going to try to stay out of that. Try to focus on the actual.
Yeah, we could be talking about the crazy stuff about.
Yeah,
people giving people money and.
Yeah, I don't even know.
1202.
Well, yeah, but that one was.
That's we could be talking about that stuff. Well, thank you.
And I did see a lot of the comments that were coming on about, many of you obviously are touched by autism also and are interested in this case because of it. And, so we appreciate y'all being here and sharing that.
We, the real Me Too, we have been through this. We started, let's see, he was, what was it? Gluten, casein, and soy free.
And peanut.
And dairy.
Peanut.
And dairy.
Well, dairy's casein.
Casein, yeah.
Yeah.
He could have goat's milk.
Or casein. I always mispronounce it.
Well, I always say casein because I'm from the South. But
I'm not sure which one it is. I always get it wrong.
But we did that from the age of 5 until just a few years ago.
Yeah.
where we made everything from scratch. Aunt E will remember pizza dough from scratch, everything from scratch. And even before it was cool to be gluten-free, we were gluten-free.
Back then, it was really hard to shop that way.
We would
Now
have
it's a lot easier.
We would have to go to the fancy Whole Foods where we would see all the celebrities. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
We would always see celebrities at our Whole Foods because it was the only organic place around.
Yeah, lots of stuff you could only get there.
He ran into Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, and Clint Black made me wait in the smoothie line for a long time. It was
Janet from Three's Company.
Oh no,
that's Trader Joe's.
Okay, that was middle E. I'm going to call that child Middle E. Hit Janet from Three's Company with a shopping cart right in the back of her foot. Yeah. She was very nice about it.
She was very nice about it. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to see those people
all the time. I can't believe my kid just hit Janet from.
You didn't know. I had to tell you that your child just hit Janet from Three's Company. I said, your child just hit Joyce DeWitt. And you're like, who's Joyce DeWitt? I said, Janet from Three's Company. Sorry. I know that's very off topic. I apologize. What are you?
I was just seeing what other folks were saying.
You have to click the button to show it.
Misty Fisher, her missing son, she never went and passed out flyers or done anything to bring awareness of Sebastian being missing. It is sick how Kay acts. She acts like she is relieved Sebastian is gone and now she's free. That is how she acts. I agree.
Aw.
Bratty Little Me. It's a great name. Flew from Colorado to North Carolina last week. Put out all of my Sebastian flyers there. That's awesome. And was able to drive to South Carolina and took flowers for Mika to Lumber River and ate where she were. Micah.
Micah. That was very nice.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
There's been some really crazy cases this spring and summer, and this is just, this is the one that's touched us, but there's been a lot of them out there that we could have talked about. That the Micah Miller case is another just crazy case.
Yeah, we've kind of been thinking about that one too. I'm not sure if we're going to talk about that.
That one's really, really, really crazy though.
I know it's wild.
And there's a lot of stuff that I don't know that we want to talk about with that case.
Yeah.
Oh, look, you guys are awesome. You're amazing.
Bratty, I've got flyers up near me in Utah, a green porch light and green ribbons on my trees. That's the best I can do from here.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Oh, Celestial Sky says, night guys, got surgery in the morning. Well,
good luck.
We'll pray. Everybody, let's pray for Celestial Sky. It has a good surgery in the morning.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope everything goes great and you have quick and speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
This is a good point. When watching interviews and things just don't look right, they probably aren't. And we've seen that with their interviews. They're very telling. I think that one, if we do talk about Sebastian another evening, I think that going back over that one that with Holly Thompson would be a good one to really look at and break down too.
And that's kind of how we started. I actually think we were the first people to start going over the Duchess interview before it kind of blew up. Because creators kept saying that this other interview was the first interview. And I said, no, it wasn't. Because I sat there and listened.
We didn't understand how everybody didn't know about the Duchess
interview.
And I think what happened, like looking back, I think a lot of the creators weren't really on the Sebastian case until that point.
Right.
So they didn't know the Duchess interview existed.
Right.
But we could go back and
continue that.
I mean, it's always eye-opening.
Well, a lot of people have covered it now. So
yeah, but we haven't.
We couldn't even get through it because we kept stopping and talking about things they were saying. So, but the Holly Thompson interview would be good. Mm-hmm. Also, gosh, there's so many interviews that could be good.
Was it Smiley the second one?
No, I believe this. I don't know if I have those cataloged. I have a calendar with all
timeline.
Yeah.
It was early though.
I feel like the hands was next.
Oh, after Holly.
Because I was so offended by the hands video. Not because of the interviewer, just because of the fact that
was so bizarre.
Oh, Olivia. Was that the second one? Zoot
no,
and
it
Boots?
says Duchess and then Olivia. No, it was Duchess, then Holly Thompson, then Olivia. Because Holly Thompson was on. I mean, I've got the dates.
Yeah, I think you might be right though about Olivia. It's early too, right?
I'm telling you,
Okay.
Holly Thompson was second.
Okay.
Duchess was on March 3rd. And then on March 6th was the Holly Thompson interview. I can look up when the hand video is. I can pull it
When's
up real
the
quick.
Olivia one? That's what I mean.
If I'd look at my calendar, I can tell you. Let's see.
Okay.
I think though the interviews will tell us more than anything else that we've, and that's what I find is crazy is they went out and did these YouTube interviews with people, and you didn't see anything on the news. The news people didn't interview them.
Okay.
You know?
So Duchess was the third. Holly Thompson was the fifth. The hand video was the seventh. So,
Well, do we know
then
the Olivia
the
one was?
Chronicles of Olivia was the 18th.
Okay, so that's pretty far on.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I think Olivia
Nick-
is the hand interview. Is that right?
That was box 17.
It wasn't. I can't think of her name.
Somebody
The
said
lady it was a lady.
the cable news interview was with a male reporter. Katie was alone. Have you seen that one?
That's the Court TV one. That was
TV.
long. That was or not Court.
Court
No, that's
TV.
Court TV with Seth.
Yeah, she's got these all on a calendar. Like
I can
all the
show.
interviews, and that's pretty good.
I don't. You know what?
I might miss some.
I have a lot missed as far as like Seth, because Seth went on a free there. He was on Pascal a lot. I haven't done those.
Yeah, and we kind of weren't paying as much attention to him
Misty asked if the Proudfoots did an interview with Justin from TikTok. I don't think he interviewed them. Did he?
Not that I'm aware of. If he did, I missed it, and I would love for somebody to email me the.
I if he did, I'd like to see that. I don't think so.
No, Justin on TikTok was doing a lot with Seth.
Oh, I just couldn't read it.
I don't think he interviewed the Proudfoots at all.
Okay.
I don't see the Chris Slingblade video was
the Sling Blade.
That's
that
May 3rd. Terry Lynn finds the pants on May 1st. Nick Barris update on May 2nd. Possible picture of Sebastian on the 29th of April. I've got a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't see the one because it was so brief, but it was Katie, and it wasn't Court TV. It was like the crime show we used to watch on television. The one with the live TV type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think I don't have that, but it was in late April or early May as well. Anyway.
Sharon said that he Justin wanted to do an interview with him, and they wouldn't interview with him.
Right. And a lot of people, Deception Detectives offered interviews with them. Peter Hyatt has. A lot of people have.
I think they're at the point now where they just want it to go away. So they're waiting for people to stop talking about it. And they've quieted down quite a bit.
I mean, at some point, it's going to have to dawn on them that they're not going to be able to talk their way out of it publicly. Like, people just aren't changing their minds at this point.
Right.
You either, there's nothing that they can say hardly to change anyone's mind at this point. I don't think. We've all seen, at least not anyone that's actually dug into this.
Yeah. I do remember that statement, and I have it saved somewhere. I don't remember. I got distracted on my timeline, and I did not put that on there, but I have that statement somewhere saved, and I need to add it to the timeline. But that kind of went away really fast.
And you didn't hear a lot about it. It was kind of like, it was gone almost the day after. You didn't hear anything about that anymore.
Yeah, Chris did Smiley too. I don't have the Smileys in there because I think what happened was I started to do the Pascals, and there's so many where Seth would late at night join Pascal from the chat that I got overwhelmed and just kind of backed off of that. And then we started the show, and I haven't had time to do
my
timeline. But yeah, the Smiley stuff's really interesting if you haven't watched that. Bratty Little Me wants to know if Seth fired Tiny Tony.
At this point, it appears to be a rumor, but I mean, what I had thought originally about Tony, even before the ridiculous video, was he's a PR. If his job is to do PR, ask yourself, like, what was your opinion of Seth before Tony, and what is your opinion of Seth after Tony? And I think it's inarguable that Seth has a way worse public image now than he did before he hired Tony. So he's failed completely in any way possible as a PR guy. And the TikTok video is just over the top, bad.
I also want to give another plug real quick for Olivia's channel.
Sure.
Olivia is going to be going live soon, and she's amazing. And if I know she's been putting her link up in the chat, and I would highly recommend subscribing to her. She seems to have a passion for this, and she's an awesome person. I can tell you, as a moderator and behind the scenes, she's pretty awesome.
Yes. Yeah, she's been great.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Well, I
Seth
guess
is heartbroken and lost from Sammy. I think that is true.
And Sammy, that I've said this a few times, and if you guys have been here many times, you know that what I'm going to say. With Seth, it feels like that we are watching the stages of grief in real time, and it's very sad. It's very sad. I feel terrible for him. And I think that's what makes it so glaringly obvious that the other side is not going through the similar actions or showing the same emotions as Seth is.
Right.
It's so glaringly obvious that they are acting suspiciously because he is literally going through the stages of grief in front of our eyes. And it's just awful.
I think some of the anger stuff, lashing out at the wrong people.
Sure.
Because he doesn't know who to be angry at, and
it's
he's being manipulated by everyone around him, and doesn't have people he can trust, and it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine it.
And that's 100% true, Bratty. The poor guy is so desperate to find his son, he doesn't know who to trust anymore. Well, I mean, quite honestly, he has had a lot of really bad people.
He has.
That he's encountered through this, just even what we've seen.
Yeah, the things I wouldn't have imagined people would do, but they do. There's some vultures out there,
People befriending him just so they can get info, or maybe more, just so they can get info from him. That's crazy. To
take advantage of people in that
situation. To take advantage of a person who's lost their only child. Yeah. It's disgusting.
It's
sorry.
I know the Caleb Harris family has kind of ended relationship with him, saying that they knew he needed to spend, that their case had kind of come to a standstill, and they didn't feel like there was anything they could benefit from him helping do. So they were telling him he was basically freed from their case to go help Seth. And then all this happened with the 1202 video. And then things have gotten really quiet from Seth, and he's not really talked about that. And TikTok Tony is now not on TikTok right now. I don't think he took over the Caleb Harris page, which was his personal page, I believe. And it's just a big mess. So that's why we kind of don't like to talk about him and get into it about him, because it just leads to drama and confusion. And I don't think he's doing anything to help the case.
The only thing is that some of those actions really do hurt the case.
They hurt Seth for sure.
It hurts Seth. It hurts Caleb. I mean, now you've got, I don't know. It turns people off.
It does.
It makes people not want to, discuss it anymore because it's gotten so gross at times. So it does actually have an impact. We just don't want to, I don't know. We kind of go back and forth. Should we give these people attention or not?
Right.
But I don't know. It does hurt things. It hasn't helped. Oh yeah. So Misty Fisher yesterday, I know it was just so heartbreaking for Seth. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, every holiday from here on until he's found. Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we tonight?
I just want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to ask that if you have enjoyed yourself at all tonight, we would appreciate it if you would at least like the video, just so that other people can also see it and enjoy it. If you like our content, we are pretty, logical, and we're laid back. If you like our content, we would love for you to subscribe. And we also have the opportunity to be members of the channel if you want. Not a requirement, but it's there if you'd like to do it. Members do get special symbols and emojis and things. We're very new to this, so
we're figuring it out.
We're figuring it out, and we're going to try to do our best with that. So, and we are going to get on a regular schedule. I've been trying to nail him down. He does have to work sometimes in the evenings, so we're trying to nail him down on when he can be here. We're going to try to have a regular schedule. What else? And then some other cases, maybe after this video is over, for the replay crew, please put that you're with the replay crew and let us know what other cases you would like us to discuss or look into. Me personally, my heart is with children, and helping find missing children, and especially missing children with special needs. I know that's a weird niche, but that is really where my heart goes. And there have been some other strange cases. Foul play is also something that where people suspect foul play, only because I don't know how to explain it. Will you help me? I can't articulate.
I think it's just the intriguing aspect and trying to figure it out. We enjoy the conversations and the feedback from you guys on just the ones with foul play and things that aren't always what they seem.
And I agree about Summer Wells. We knew about her, but I didn't know about to the extent of how crazy that case was. So I think we are going to go through that, and he doesn't want me to look at it until we do, because he wants to get my genuine reaction to what I see, which apparently is pretty bad when they show.
It's very interesting.
I guess where she lives particularly.
And she walks in that interview. She'll walk you through the story. So it would be a good way to introduce.
Okay. So maybe we'll do like a
reaction video, but
we could do a reaction video, or we could do what is it? I don't know what it's called. Not a premiere, because it's already premiered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll just do a reaction video.
Yeah, I think that might. And we're just past 3 years on that. They just did a statement. They talked to the press maybe a few days ago. So it's that story's kind of back in the news again a little bit, even though.
Who is this Karen everybody's responding to? I can't see this person. Oh, Karen. There's Karen.
Well, what did Karen say? That was
at Sammy, but that's definitely catered to him. I don't know.
I think maybe talking about TikTok.
Probably with him having control.
Oh, it's just they're talking about other creators.
Oh,
That's fine. No worries. Yeah, we try not to talk about other creators because there's an audience for everybody. And I believe in my whole heart that people will find us if they like us. And if they like other things, then that's okay too. And I like multiple channels. I watch tons of different creators.
Well, we like to hear what different people say, and they all have different points of view and lots of different colorful and creative ways to share their views.
Linda, you're the sweetest.
Very nice. And we're going to try to do is at least have a schedule for the week, so that if hopefully we can say, well, we're going to do a couple of shows these dates, so you have some notice and can kind of, if you want to watch it live, you can kind of make time for that.
I also have a question for maybe either the chat or for the replay. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about daytime streams? Yeah,
versus
nighttime.
Because we might try to do a little bit of both at first for a bit and see how that goes. Of course, people that are here at night right now probably think night's great, but maybe day's better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody says see you in the morning for coffee.
Oh, I also go over to I'll just tell everybody. I go over to Bullhorn Betty in the mornings and enjoy coffee with my chat. And I think she has a lot of interesting things to say. And I enjoy all the people over there. They're so kind to me. I mean, I've been in a lot of chats, and I have to say that they're by far the kindest people that I encounter. And I like it over there. And I think you watch it too, right?
Some. I'll catch it now and then.
Yeah.
Not daily, but every once in a while. And I don't really comment, but I definitely listen.
Oh, I'm also starting a Discord server for our members only. So our members will be able to go in there and chat with each other and discuss cases. And also for our moderators, Olivia and Misty, I'm going to have a Discord for all of us to be able to communicate with each other so that you'll have a better heads up of when we are doing live streams. And thank you, Misty and Olivia, tonight for being our moderators. And thank you to all the members who showed up and have contributed. And thank you to all the new people and everybody that's been here tonight. We appreciate it so much. And we like that we can just be ourselves and discuss things logically. And we're just so happy you guys are all here.
Yeah, you guys were great tonight. I mean, you're the thoughts and the comments and all the different theories and stuff that I had not considered and thought about. It's just been very interesting. And you guys have all, put a lot of thought into this case. And, we appreciate you being here with us.
Aw, the real me has that. It's cute. That's kind of getting my habit though. I get sad if I miss the beginning of it. It's funny. Because you just never know exactly when she's going to go live, I would love, we are located in Tennessee, and I would love to actually, discuss things with her, offline, when she's here, because I know she's headed this way.
She coming here for Sebastian?
Yes.
I think she is.
Family, we were discussing whether CP was agreeable to male interviews. It seems to be an if he gets to feel in control sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, has he even done a single interview with a male?
He did talk to Queen Bee's fiance. Not Queen Bee. I'm sorry. Clemenati's fiance.
Okay. Yeah.
She calls him fiance.
But it was a very friendly.
Yeah, it wasn't a really like an interview.
It was more like a chat. That was after the Sling Blade thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a friendly atmosphere for him. Like they're not, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But he's avoided the Peter Hyatts and Deception Detectives and
thanks, Linda.
Interview Room, Lab. I mean, it hasn't done any of the ones I think that have male hosts that I can think of, other than I guess that one. And they would the ones I'm mentioning would be pretty fair.
He does talk to H. Ray Hughes.
Oh, Gray Hughes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, that's the map guy. Yeah, he does.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
but the map guy is also going along and mapping what he's telling him.
Yeah.
The real Me Too said she's heading that way and she's a good friend of hers and she'll let you know. She would love to meet with you.
I would love to meet with her. We think along the same lines on many of these things, and I would like to be able to show her some of these places that she's had questions about, because I think that once she sees that new neighborhood and a construction site, she'll see what we're talking about. But I think she physically needs to see it.
Oh yeah,
and I would love to take her over there and yeah.
It definitely makes the runaway story seem a lot less plausible once you get there.
The first time I took him over there, he looked at me and he said, "There's no way."
Right.
He said, "There's no way." I think you did too.
Yeah.
Because I took you over there.
I think you and I went over there before Mr. E went, and we were like, no. Yeah. When you see it, you're like,
you're just
no.
shaking your head going, there's no way. Once you realize where the house is, it's like, oh.
No, their yard backs up to another house.
Yeah. They're surrounded by houses in Cameron.
Yeah.
It's like, no way.
It just doesn't look on television. It just didn't even look the same. And then when you get there and you drive around, you're like, oh, it makes so much more sense. And you know that that's not plausible.
And the overhead maps make it look a lot more rural than it really is.
Yeah.
It makes it look like there's just forests everywhere, and it's not like that.
No.
All right. Well, let's let everybody go. We've our moderators and all of our friends that have been here the whole time. Thank you guys again so much. We really do appreciate it. And like I said, if you wouldn't mind to hit the like, that would be great too, because we'd like to make more friends.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And anything you want them to put in the comments after so that we can read them?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to read the chat later, especially right after. It takes like 24 hours for it to show up. So if you have any specific comments, wait till we end, and then you can put it up in the comments.
Yes. So I think two maybe from tonight. One is just any other cases that we're going to start kind of branching out to discussing some other cases that we find interesting. We're really interested, of course, in true crime, and if there's a mysterious component to it at all, where we have to try to apply some logic and
that's I think that's what we like.
Thing to it, where there's things to discover, and maybe things aren't crystal clear in how the crime occurred. Right? I didn't even mean to do it.
Did you say crystal clear?
I said crystal clear.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. So he's rubbed off. I've listened to too many Chris interviews. So if you have any stories like that are interesting to you or have touched your heart, that'd be the kind of thing we might be interested in. But also, if you have a thought on our topic tonight, what is your opinion? Do you think this case is dead in the water? Is it going nowhere, or do you think that the case is still being built, and that we might end up having some indictments, arrests, just something along those lines here in the next few weeks or months? So we kind of stated our opinion, but we don't know. So we'd be interested to see what you think and why on that too.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye.